and the ones who have traveled from other countries to attend this important partnership dialogue. The Ghana-EU Partnership Dialogue is an annual highlight for all of us. We look forward to a frank and yet constructive exchange on topics that matter to us both. I am proud to say that the partnership between Ghana and the European Union is stronger than ever. Look at you, all of you. Thank you for being here with us today. I know that you are working with us, with our teams, with the embassies present here on a daily basis. And the partnership is you. It's the output of our great collaboration. The closeness of our relations have been demonstrated by numerous high-level visits that we have over the past year. I would like to mention the visit of the President of Czech Republic, who is the first foreign dignitary to pay a tribute, Mr. President, after your election. I would like to mention that for your inauguration, we have been formally represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Belgium. I have to mention the visit of the Austrian Foreign Minister who came to open a new embassy. Cannot overlook, of course, the visits of President Mattarella from Italy, the Chancellor Scholz, many other
presidential staffers, distinguished heads and directors of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, ladies and gentlemen.
First, since it was built, and I'm quite impressed with the facilities you have here. Looks like this is a better appointed structure than the Flagstaff House. We might have to switch, you know. Anyway, I remember when your building got bent, we hosted you for a while in Flagstaff House, so you must just be kind enough to, you know. But thank you very much. The Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Ministers of State, Your Excellency Ishad Razali, Head of the European Union Delegation to Ghana, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors of the EU Member States, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, staff of the Ministry, Heads of Missions, Directors of MDAs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I wish this morning to warmly welcome you to the 2025 Ghana-European Union Partnership Dialogue. On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I wish to express our profound appreciation to the EU delegation, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all participating institutions for your dedication to this vital platform of cooperation. Our long-standing partnership with the European Union has evolved into one of mutual respect, shared ambition, and deepened strategic alignment. This dialogue is not simply a formality, but a testament to our shared commitment to building a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable future for our people. Ghana and the EU have consistently pursued a common agenda that has been rooted in our shared values and is based on sustainable development, democratic governance, climate action, and regional stability. Through this forum, we reaffirm our partnership as development allies and co-architects of a new global order that prioritizes equity, innovation, and dignity. On macroeconomic recovery and fiscal governance, Ghana's economic outlook is rebounding steadily. Our administration remains committed to restoring macroeconomic stability through prudent fiscal management, enhanced domestic revenue mobilization, and expenditure rationalization. Working in partnership with the Bank of Ghana, we're stabilizing inflation, stabilizing the cedi, and pursuing debt restructuring strategies to restore confidence and rebuild the fiscal space for development. These efforts are yielding.
We'll take the second photograph outside the auditorium.
And it's produce no my Yakina, you carefree, a man on it, ever. And you see, come and they will go. It continue woman. I won't call for a man. Wabra, ma, any anonymous, in your money day. I know my pennies are quite young here. I see it me and young cocoa. Somebody else, come out, you become man on it, millions of dollars every year. A better half, not a continue one. The only portrait farmers not be more with me. Omo how can see a pa? Aye, we are no. Omo de ma and coconut. And only boy air dinty. And I'm Uncle Siabo Cosso. And I'm my young cocono, yet the cook Jomoa, no boy dear. And my dear coffee free no one. At the end of a chain yet. And now, one my yes want to say, oh, your factory can see your heart. Who say feed you know? Would you supply Ghana? Yɛfa yɛ ni ɛmɛhwɛ ɛna deɛ ba ha anɔpɛ na nyamea no yɛbɛduru a ɛhwɛ silos a wayɛ ha ne nneɛma a yɛhu ha yɛhu sɛ ampa wayɛ adeɛ yɛbɔ waba so bɛyɛ sɛ na wɔtwetwa mu yi na yɛwɔ Belarus yɛkɔ Brazil kɔhwɛ ɔmo deɛ ɔmo yɛ yɛhwɛ silos ɔmo wɔ a na wode toto deɛ yi ho a yɛ sɛ wodeɛ yɛ akɛseɛ koraa to the development of farm roads. He said that I did not mention road infrastructure in the agricultural space. And so how are we going to handle it? You know, the previous government procured some equipment for all the districts in this country. And it is the duty of this government to ensure that we pay for those equipment and then also make good use of the equipment.
As a numu near Benya, and Numu near Benya, the Adebay and Fidi Juman and Yamana.
So, Numu and Benya, the Anaki, Sanse, I see the champagne. And Numu, even now, and Fidi Juman,
and non so near their show on Santi, Quampia, better to. Na do nyansa aka ho na yam na yeye no Ghana man bedo ase papa.
We were say and also the answer on say. And if man be our first want to be here. Now apart for account so that wow, me I say yo one. No apart for pass what to one and another boy na.
And Emran tiene maba yem pefu yo.
Zo be yo. O say le o mai na tiene maba obi ampe
Obi ampese obekwa afuo mu.
Zo, ya ampese obekwa afuo.
Enti ye kan ye bodawura.
Zo,
aka nkokura na mrewa na edo.
Zo, o se ya bodawura aka wo kan. Ene aka nkokura na mrewa ene yekura.
Koko.
Zo,
etiko nyina aka mrewa na nkokura.
Zo, koko a ekuta oman ho di na so na aka nkokura na mrewa ye.
And this young Riam any amra. We are on your becan and so Betty Aquas and Rantian on my banner pecania mune, ye babia cania wanted the ensure.
Zo was it? Never mind, your day come on, say, we are from near you say, see, I'm any uncle one and you could I don't know why. How many is our way? I don't know. Nay, the son Rantian, a one body there, and then one. You could go guess you can hear me. Anybody away come up, anybody who are here, no mind saying in area.
As you create.
You are cherished media on the key decisions we took. General.
There's noise at the back. There's noise at the back.
Please, those at the back.
Highest decision-making body of our party, the New Patriotic Party, held meeting in the morning, and it was also followed up by meeting of the National Council, which is the second highest decision-making body of our party. Highlights from today's meeting are: one, the party discussed extensively on the outstanding parliamentary results of Ablekuma North. And as a party, through the direction and decision by the National Council, we express our dissatisfaction by the conduct of the Ghana Police Service for failing to provide security for the Electoral Commission to conclude the outstanding 3 polling stations at Ablekuma North. The party had earlier on written letter to the Electoral Commission and the Ghana Police Service to explain to us why we have not been able, or they have not been able, to complete the collation of results at Ablekuma North. From the Electoral Commission's response, they categorically stated that they are ready to finish the collation of the outstanding 3 polling stations at Ablekuma North, and therefore all that they need and require is for the Ghana Police Service to provide security for them to finish the collation. As you all know, in several times that the Electoral Commission has tried to finish the collation, we have tasked who will besiege their offices and cause distraction, and thereby preventing them from completing the collation. The Ghana Police Service, in their response to our letter, raised an issue that they have received a letter from the NDC indicating that there is a pending issue or matter before the Supreme Court, and that in their attempt to provide security, they will be in contempt of the Supreme Court. But again, the Electoral Commission response has been that there's no issue pending before the Supreme Court to warrant the Ghana Police Service to make that point, that because of that issue, they are unable to provide security. And the New Patriotic Party also shared the same position, because on record, there is no issue before the Supreme Court with respect to Ablekuma North. The only issue that is there is the declaration that was made, or the pronouncement that was made by the High Court, that the Electoral Commission should complete the collation of Ablekuma North constituency parliamentary elections. So the explanation by the Ghana Police Service that it is relying on the Attorney General to give advice is neither here nor there. By an attempt by the NDC government, the Ghana Police Service and the Attorney General, just to delay or frustrate or to prevent the Electoral Commission from completing the exercise, because they know that they didn't win Ablekuma North constituency presidential parliamentary elections. Indeed, the question that I posed to the media, imagine if the NDC had genuinely won Ablekuma North constituency elections, wouldn't they have asked the Ghana Police Service to provide security for the Electoral Commission to complete its work? So for us in the New Patriotic Party, it's a delay tactics, some gimmicks by the Ghana Police Service, just to prevent the Electoral Commission from going ahead to declare the results. But we are resolute as a political party, and we take every action, legal action, to make sure that the right thing is done, and for the Electoral Commission to complete the collation of results of the Ablekuma North constituency. Again, another item that was discussed both at NEC and National Council had to do with the Patriotic Institute, what we refer to as the party school that we intend to launch on the 25th of June. A committee came to brief NEC and National Council on where they have gotten to and I'm happy to state that we are on course as a political party to launch our party school on June 2025. On June 25, 2025. The committee, that is National Executive Committee and the National Council, also received report from the Amendment Committee chaired by Mr. Frank Davis, or Lawyer Frank Davis. And in the words of the committee, they received over 300 proposals from the rank and file sympathizers of our party. And they briefed NEC and National Council on where they've gotten to and the key areas that the National Council had to take a decision on. With respect to the call for expansion of our electoral college, indeed, the committee spoke about it. And again, that decision as to the number of expansion or the expansion level will be determined at the delegate conference scheduled to take place in July. The committee also spoke about the time for our presidential primaries. And again, the committee agreed that that decision does not warrant amendment of our constitution. But in light of the spirit and letter of Article 13 of the NPP constitution, that power is clothed with National Council to make that decision. And National Council today also made the decision that the date for our presidential primaries is set for January 31st, 2026. That will be the date that we shall hold our presidential primaries. Because there's going to be a proposal or a motion for amendment for our constitution, a committee, or what we refer to as a planning committee, has been put in place by National Council to prepare and also implement directive that has been given to them for us to have a successful delegate conference to amend our constitution, the provision that has to be amended.
Yes, so currently I am with Madam Diana Asonaba Dapa. Thank you. You're live on Metro TV. Can you please brief us about the committee's work and what's transpired today?
Thank you very much. I'm here with my colleague, the respected Ebenezer Nati, a former member of parliament for Ablekuma Central. So we're here on behalf of the Constitution Review Committee of the NPP, chaired by, again, a colleague, lawyer, who's a senior at the bar, Mr. Frank Davis, Esquire. So basically, the committee was tasked to receive proposals from the rank and file of members of the New Patriotic Party, from sympathizers, and of course, good wishes of the party, to consider possible amendments of the Constitution. We received over 300 proposals for amendment, and today we were very elated and privileged to furnish the National Council, the highest decision-making body of the party, with the report of our committee. And of course, as you would know, today we highlighted some of the major issues that came up for proposed amendment. Of course, the first one was the high sense of advocacy for an early presidential primaries, the flag bearer position. And so, as you know from today's proceedings, Council has agreed that will take place on 31st January 2026. Of course, another area, so we sort of highlighted the very topical provisions that people have pushed for amendments. The other thing was the scrap of the superdelegates, and we felt, I think that was almost received unanimous, agreement from members that we scrap that. Then there was also the issue about expansion. Of course, the party recognizes the need for expansion. having received the number of proposals from well-wishers, it was the considered recommendation of the committee that indeed the call for expansion, which is the one man, one vote proposal, is in the right direction. But of course, we are not oblivious to the fact that our current system in terms of data and foundation do not support that. So the committee recommended that this, as a matter of fact, should be done. There should be an implementation committee to see to that by 2028. But of course, in the interim, the committee recommended, based on the proposals that had been received, that we do what we call a limited progressive expansion. And by that, we're looking at expanding at the polling station level, the executives from 5 to 7. We looked at similar expansion at the constituency level and regional office. Another area which received high recommendation for proposal was also including formers, what I'll call the formers, so former MPs, so former constituency executives, former regional executives, former ministers and deputy ministers like myself, MMDCs. Of course, the party, there was an overwhelming call for inclusion of these persons to have a vote at different levels, be that the presidential level, at the national level, which has also received overwhelming support by council. So on the whole, we've also, I think as a committee, one other area we also looked at was the need to come up with manual and policies, because we realized that some of the proposals that came couldn't be a matter for constitutional amendment, but could actually be put in either regulations or policies of the party. So much as we receive these proposals, our considered view is that some of them do not require constitutional amendment, but rather regulations and other policies. And so we also recommended that policies be made, particularly for spelling out the role of the various party officers, elected, appointed, deputies, whichever rank at which level. There should be a manual to spell out clearly so everybody knows their role within the party. And so for us as a committee, we've been very grateful. Of course, one other contentious matters that I think came up was the issue of the age of the youth. You know, the committee considered various international and even Ghanaian authority on the definition of youth. We found out that, quite surprisingly, international conventions like the UN, like the WHO, define youth to be from 15 to 24. Of course, our own Youth Authority Act defines youth to be somebody 35 and below. And so we thought that in going with international conventions, even Ghanaian law conventions, we should peg the age at 35. Of course, that receives quite some uproar, as you can see, and of course, but that's the whole essence of engagement, that's the whole essence of democracy. But we see that the annual delegates conference will decide some of these matters. So we're very happy. I believe I speak for the committee members to say we're very privileged to have been given this task, and we look forward to making the party greater. Thank you.
So what thought and consideration went into picking the 1st January 2026 for the flag bearer election?
Right. I think the proposals that we received indicated a number of reasons for having the early primaries, as we call it. One of them is that having an identifiable leader, presidential candidate, as early as possible will be able to help heal the party very early. We can also then identify with a particular person as leading the party into election. Of course, it also helps with, reducing the rancor in the party, and of course helps the structure to be well put in place. Of course, when you are in a position to gear yourself up in readiness for the next election. Of course, there are also some financial consideration. You want to assist the party. You don't know which of the identifiable person who is leading the party in campaign. So these are some of the issues. But I think that most importantly was the fact that we need to close our rank and file, and having this early primaries is what will enable the party to do that.
Another important aspect and area is the Ablekuma North collation. It's been 6 months and the people of Ablekuma North are yet to have representation in government. I heard Chairman say that the court, there's no issue in court currently that is stopping the Ghana Police Service from providing security for the collation, for the continuous collation of Ablekuma North. Yet police have not provided security. Electoral Commission says it is waiting on the police. Do you want, as a party, as a new patriotic party, are you in for a re-election?
We are not. I mean, if you're looking at a re-election, there are rules that govern a re-election, and there are rules that govern collation. I think it's a non-starter to talk about a re-election when the EC has determined the process for bringing closure to the whole Ablekuma North fiasco. And of course, in fact, it is inexcusable, respectfully, for the police to deny doing their statutory duty by a claim, which we just found out is a falsehood, that there's a case pending in court. But even if there were, and the excuse that we have heard, allegedly, that they fear to be in contempt of court, we just learned, of course, we're all educated by the recent Getutokonu case at the Supreme Court, that until an order of injunction has in fact been given to a constitutional body, you cannot stop a constitutional body from performing its function or its statutory duty. Therefore, it includes the police. And so I'm saying that is a non-starter for us to talk about the fact that there was a case pending, which also turns out that in fact there is no case pending to stop the police from providing the necessary statutory constitutional support to the EC to collect. So the issue of re-election is a non-starter for me. For me, it defeats any knowledge of the conditions for re-election and for collation of election. I think the EC has indicated, and as the presiding officer for that matter, she has talked about the need to be assisted as the roadmap by the police to do the collation of the results. And that is...
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
All right, so today is the 18th of June, 2025. Good morning. Welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana on a Metro Television. My name is Awudu Moro. We say a big thanks to the Almighty God for giving us another rare privilege of being alive and kicking. We're back again to join the nation's conversation, what's happening in our dear country, Ghana. So as usual, I'll go straight ahead and look at the front page of the newspapers as we have received them this morning. The Ghanaian Times report says that give career magistrates opportunity to upgrade at law school, Justice Bright Mensah. At Ghana-EU Partnership Dialogue, Reform a Global Order to ensure equity in security, financial frameworks, President Mahama. Fitch upgrades Ghana's credit rating to B- with stable outlook. Sunyani Traditional Council bans Queen Mother from public activities. Adam Alache expresses satisfaction with appeals court ruling. Daily Guide. I still believe in a Baumia ticket. Freddie Blay. First National Bank Ghana receives $35 million capital injection. NPP elect flag bearer January 2026. Constitutional interpretation vested in judiciary, not parliament, Justice Mensah. NSA blocks 3,597 graduates' PIN codes. The Insight. Gabi blast NPP leadership for hiding Okwe's committee report on 2024 abysmal performance from Akufo-Addo. Iran calls on U.S. to restrain Israel as its attacks face global condemnation. China set to remove tariffs on African goods as it deepens economic ties with the continent. Lower West Akim MP cuts sword for FIFA standard AstroTurf in Asamankese. Chaos erupts as Pokwasi, Jase Chair and Asafo Group disrupt noise ban ceremony. The Informer. Resist political interference. Supreme Court nominee urges colleagues. GTEC wants 2 NDC MPs over honorary titles. Ofriata contemplates asylum over political persecution. OSP versus Charles Bisu all set for July 2. Fitch thumbs up Ghana for good economic management. The Inquisitor. Coming events. Ken plans asylum. NSS scandal, in-path technologies unmasked. TCDA issues mandatory directives to palm oil importers. This is only the beginning. Dr. Forcing on fish upgrade. The Herald. Cracked NPP sets flag-bearer race amid leadership uncertainty. Anodon Press mining lease criticism backfires as Jinapo Ghana manganese deal surfaces. NSA tightens validation protocols in the 2025-2026 mobilization. 3,597 graduates from 22 unaccredited institutions barred. Foreign Ministry seeks help to evacuate Ghanaians caught in an Iran-Israel conflict. Macaulay legal training model, outdated and inadequate, Justice Mensah tells Parliament, urges decentralization. The Daily Statesman, minority demands immediate evacuation of stranded Ghanaians in Israel, Iran. Birim Central MCE declares war on Galamsey. Debt restructuring powers Fitch upgrade. Bank of Ghana assures enough buffers against external shocks in Ghana. And 4.4 million cedis compensation in fatal highway accident victory for justice, legal practitioner. The New Republic, bogus billions, East Legon Sakawa Kings under siege, indicted in $100 million global fraud scheme. CID police silent amidst alleged complicity. Ghana bleeds billions. Gold smuggling cartels rob nation of $11.4 billion annually. Report reveals shocking scale. Shockwave hits MPP. Amakoba bolds forms new patriotic front. The Ghanaian publisher Fitch upgrade vindicates MPP's legacy. Minority. Two-term presidential limit. Mohammed's SC nominees back restrictions. Government evacuates 922 Ghanaians from Israel. And the minority leader warns of legal crisis ahead. The Accra Times. Let's safeguard our democracy, Speaker Albam Sumana Bagwing. Human resource and working tools, very essential. Justice Jamape. Bilsa North observes International Day of Play. The Custodian. I refused Mohammed's NHIA board chair offer. Bagwing. Minority endorses Fitch upgrade but cautions government against poor budget credibility. Afenyomakin warns Mahama over judicial capture. First National Bank gets $35 million to expand lending. There's government to evacuate 922 Ghanaians from Israel. The Daily Graphic. Fitch upgrades Ghana's credit rating, cites strong economic management. Local printers, paper converters demand legislation to boost industry. Supreme Court judges should be pegged at 20, Justice Mensah. Tax gap widens, 61% VAT revenue uncollected. The New Crusading Guide. Abuakwa South MP assists Kibi School for the deaf with $45,200 to support feeding. And he is a true royal of Edwajiri. And it comes to the picture of the Honorable Frank Anodompre. His family has declared. There's also NPP to hold presidential primaries 31st January. Minority worries over Fitch upgrade, says it's cast doubt on credibility of 2025 budget and then also the economy. In the Business and Financial Times, BOG cites reserves disinflation as buffers amid Mid-East tensions. Horticulture key to the economy's inclusive growth. Fidelity Bank MD. CD holds firm, but retail market faces 23% premium following FX constraints. Export exposure to U.S. tariffs could erode $1.2 billion in 5 years. So yes, these are the front page stories of the various newspapers we received this morning. Please stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kelkit Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky chicky whiter, chicky chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kelkits, happy smile.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, Mr. Yamfan come and me buru.
Mami do buru. Ni atele be ko bra. Mumi yamfan ko Dr. Ban ho. Dr. Ban o ya de. Bra, se ban no mpemu adwuma sasabro sro Dr. Ban o ye.
Say ni kemi kwa na meka. Oh no mpemu nim di ono na ye expect nya zanfo no. O akra eni kumasi no mpemu expect yen kan kire.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Mr. Freddy Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Freddy once now.
Hey, that's you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain was key to double the accent.
Me did this sasso spray. Mr. Freddy sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso.
Come tum preko.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage located at the newly proposed airport city with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Park Hills, located at Panfukuro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Lakleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed, all in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
You're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I'm here with my guests who are already taking their seats. And I have the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. That's Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. He's here. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And also, Kamaluddin Abdullahi is also here with us. He's also a Deputy Communication Director of the New Patriotic Party. Good morning, sir. Alhaji.
Good morning, my brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yadi.
The way you mention my name, you mention it as
a proper Zongo person. Kamaluddin Abdullahi.
Anyway. I know, right?
It's, if I don't mention it, if I don't mention it correctly, our people will come after us, especially me. So,
rightly so.
Adakanta.
That's true.
Anyway, so obviously, what's happening?
What?
Don't be deceived. Democracy is not for the elite. Democracy is for the elite. What's happening? Is there something you're communicating?
Nothing is happening.
But do you mean it?
Mean what?
That democracy is not for the is for the elite.
Are you going around reading what is on people's t-shirts?
No, I just found it interesting. When it comes to you, I don't take anything for granted, because you're a man who mean your words. And so when you say democracy is not for, it's for the elite, I'm sure that there's a
I'm sure when you walk the street, you see people wearing t-shirts. I love New York. Yes. I love so-and-so.
I don't care.
You go around asking them whether they really
those
love
people,
New
I don't
York
care
and so
about
on.
them. But as for my uncle, I do. I have a feeling there's something he wants to say, and maybe in the nick of time he will. You believe that democracy is for the elite?
Is that one of the new super stories we're discussing this morning?
Anyway, so let's look at a matter which has dominated, international headlines, and indeed it has also dominated local headlines, and it has to do with what's happening in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. And indeed, if you look at what's happening even here in Ghana, there have been two developments. The president has directed the finance minister and the energy minister to, basically model a way to mitigate the potential impact of what's happening there. And, of course, Iran has given us reasons why they're attacking Israel. Israel has given the reasons why they're attacking Iran. Whether those reasons are justified or not, it's all subject to people's interpretations and opinions and so on and so forth. I don't know the extent to which you've been following recent developments in the Middle East. And I will be surprised if you don't, because I do know that you don't joke with developments in the Middle East. Now, even in the front page, on the front page of your own newspaper, you said Iran calls on U.S. to restrain Israel as it attacks face global condemnation. And the story is on page 9 of today's Insight newspaper. I would want to look at that. So let me get that quickly. Get your thoughts on it. So yes, I was looking at it early this morning. I don't know what. Okay. Yeah, need to do this quickly. Right. So Asil Saleh is the author of the story, and he says that the fighting between Iran and Israel escalated rapidly over the weekend. Israel launched a set of military strikes on Iran early Friday, June 13, claiming that the goal of the unprovoked attacks is to destroy Iran's nuclear program. Iran has since retaliated to Israel's aggression and launched missiles and drones inside Israel, mostly targeting its military installations. Meanwhile, despite claiming that it is targeting Iran's nuclear program, Israel has been focused on targeting civilian sites and residential areas. Unbalanced human toll. At least 224 people have been killed, including dozens of women and children, and over 1,250 others have been wounded in Israel airstrikes that have targeted different areas across Iran since Friday, according to reports by Iranian authorities and official media on Monday, June 16. On the other hand, Israel health authorities reported that the Iranian strikes resulted in the death of 24 people, with hundreds of others being injured over the same period. Israel accused of using civilians as human shields by placing military hubs in residential areas, although Israel claimed that the Iranian missiles intentionally struck civilian areas. And media reports revealed that Israel's key military infrastructure is established within densely populated areas. Analysts argue that by choosing such locations, Israel is using its own civilians as human shields. The Cairo, which is Israel's central military headquarters, was among the military premises that Iran struck in its first wave of retaliatory attacks. The headquarters, which contains the Ministry of Defense, the offices of Israeli Military General Staff, the major base of the Israeli occupation forces known as the Camp Rabin, and key intelligence and command facilities located in the heart of Tel Aviv and surrounded by civilian areas. Now, Iranian authorities call targeting of news agency wicked act of war crime in what was described as a replication of its attacks on news media targets in Gaza. Israel struck the office of the Islamic Republic of Iran broadcasting in the capital Tehran during a live broadcast on Monday. Now, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Bagail condemned the attack on his country's state-run broadcaster in the post on X. The world is watching, targeting Iran's news agency, that's IRIB's office during a live broadcast, is a wicked act of war crime. Now, Lebanese-American journalist Rania Khaled commented on Israel's continued assaults on civilian targets across the region, and the story goes on and on and on and on. Now, the Iranian president asserted that the U.S. admitted having control and influence over Israel, claiming it would not take any action without their permission during the recent indirect nuclear talks which Oman has mediated. Now, Pezeshkian's statement on U.S. complicity were proven true after Trump issued a warning to Iran via his Truth Social account in the early hours of Tuesday. And in an interview, the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claimed that the assassination of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali, that's Khamenei, would not trigger further escalation in the already heated war with Iran, but rather would end it. Now, again, in Ghana, we're told that a foreign ministry is seeking help to evacuate Ghanaians caught in Iran, according to Iran-Israel conflicts, and also the minority has had a take on this matter, where they're asking the Foreign Affairs Ministry or the government to quickly evacuate Ghanaians who are stranded in Israel. Now, I said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration is urgently seeking logistical assistance to support the ongoing emergency evacuation of Ghanaian nationals from Iran following the escalating tensions in conflict between Iran and Israel. Sam Lekuje Blackwa made the appeal during the Ghana-European Union Partnership Dialogue held in Accra yesterday, Tuesday, June 17, 2025. He stressed the critical need for coordinated international support to ensure the safety of Ghanaian citizens caught in the growing hostilities between the two Middle East nations. We're talking about 922 Ghanaians who are stranded in that area, in that part of the world. Of course, we've also seen the press conference by the minority in Parliament asking government to expedite action on that. Uncle Z, you've been following Iran-Israel politics even before some of us were born. What's your own appreciation of what's happening there?
Well, I think what is worthy of note, the number of things which are worthy of note, is that this is the second time in recent history that the West, led by the United States of America, has used a proxy to attack and to attempt to bring Iran to its knees. I mean, the first such attack was carried out by Saddam Hussein with American weapons and American intelligence support, and it failed miserably. The Iranians were able to rally around and to defeat Saddam Hussein. What is significant is that eventually the US and other Western countries, under a false pretext, attacked Saddam Hussein and destroyed his regime. What that tells us is that the objective was not so much Iran. The objective was to bring the Middle East and West Asia to its knees so that the US and its allies could control the very vast resources of the region. Now, this second attempt at destroying the Iranian revolution and so on, the proxy they are using is problematic. Because the pretext is that Iran is likely to develop a nuclear weapon. That is in contention. Even officials of US security agencies have said that it is not true. But let us assume that that is even true. The proxy they are using, Israel, has nuclear weapons. You understand? And it's not just that Israel has nuclear weapons. Israel has, over the years, refused to sign international treaties, on the acquisition and holding of nuclear weapons and so on. So indeed, when it comes to the development of nuclear weapons and their possession, Israel is a power state. So how a country which possesses nuclear weapons can attack another country on the suspicion that it could develop nuclear weapons is completely insane. I cannot understand it. It's completely insane. You understand? Now, the other issues for me are very clear. The Israelis are using US warplanes. They are using US bombs. In fact, most of the weapons that they are using are US weapons. And President Donald Trump has admitted that, has said that on many of his tweets, that they are using US weapons, and is boasting about how powerful US weapons are and so on. Not just that, you have American troops on the ground in Israel protecting, that's the word they use, Israel against reprisal attacks from Iran. So the US is very deeply involved in this crazy adventure. Now, history also teaches us important lessons, and history teaches us that the people of Iran have never surrendered, and that throughout their history, they've never given up on an inch of their territory. They are proud people, they are resilient, and it is clear that they are committed to their values. Now, yesterday, the US President Donald Trump actually called on the Iranian authorities to unconditionally surrender. And I was wondering where he was coming from. I mean, what is he talking about? Iran has been attacked. Israel is the aggressor. And you call on the victim of aggression to surrender unconditionally. Well, what does that mean? And Donald Trump is double talking. In one breath, he doesn't want war, he wants a negotiated settlement. In another breath, he's even boasting about the fact that the alliance has the capacity to assassinate the Iranian spiritual leader and so on. I'm very deeply worried because we are getting to the point where political assassinations are being given some kind of legitimacy. You disagree with somebody politically, you go and kill him. You don't like what some government is doing, you just go and kill him. I mean, in the past, these were things that they did in secret. Now they are doing it in our face. You understand? They killed Patrice Lumumba of Congo simply because they didn't like him. The Belgium intelligence officer who killed him only 2 weeks ago was boasting that he cut Patrice Lumumba's body into 34 parts.
Right.
And dissolved them in acid and kept his front teeth as souvenir and so on. They killed America Cabral. They killed Chris Hani. They killed Salvador Allende and so on. But in those days, they hide to kill. Now they are killing in our face. They are warning us that they are going to kill and so on. I'm worried because we could very soon get back to the era of asymmetric warfare, where everything was justified for as long as it was in the interest of the cause that we are pursuing. I think the international order is being destroyed. I think that the law-based international order is being systematically destroyed.
Right.
And it poses a danger for all of us. Now, the other dimension that I think we should be looking at is simply the fact that throughout history, when empires are on decline, they resort to war and aggression. And it is clear throughout history. What history proves that these aggressions by empires on decline have never succeeded.
Okay.
I mean, the world virtually, largely has defeated classical colonialism. The world defeated the transatlantic slave trade, which were the bastions of empire building and so on. We destroyed it.
Right.
And the world is making progress towards the dismantling of this neo-colonial arrangement, which makes others the direct beneficiaries and owners of our resources, and our people continue to wallow in poverty and so on. That order would not survive for long, in spite of the aggressions which are being unleashed and so on. Now, listen. Today, as we sit here, Israel is before the International Criminal Court for genocide. It is committing genocide in Palestine. It has violated all UN General Assembly resolutions. It is behaving so lawlessly around the world. Is this the country that decent people who believe in a rules-based international order should be supporting? I doubt. 3 days ago, I saw some very harrowing videos, and I'm sure you've all seen them, of Iranian retaliatory attacks hitting Tel Aviv and other cities in Israel. And people in Israel are running into the bomb shelters. And they are preventing blacks, Africans, and other nationalities from going into the bomb shelters. You saw those videos. Were you not horrified by this? I mean, absolutely horrifying. So as for blacks, they should be killed. The bomb should fall on them, they should die. You know, I mean, this racism is shocking. And the world must condemn this racism. Now, a lot of people want to trace what is happening now in West Asia and the Middle East to the October 27th event and so on.
Yeah.
The UN Secretary General has said that that's a wrong position to take. The UN Secretary General has said that, look, the conflict did not begin today. It began in 1948 or thereabout with the declaration of the State of Israel. Now, just yesterday, I was going through archival footage, and I saw an interview with a former Israeli Prime Minister, Golda Meir, who says that she herself is Palestinian. and that she was carrying a Palestinian passport, and that before then, there was no Israel. That before 1948, there was no Israel. And that's most instructive. This is Golda Meir, former Prime Minister of Israel, confessing that before, what existed in that region was only Palestine, and that she herself carried a Palestinian passport. What else are we going to say? Then there are those who are totally misinformed, completely misinformed, and they base their judgment on some religious fiction. You see, many people support Israel because they claim that it's a Christian country, because they find Israel in the Bible and so on. That's illiterate. To put it mildly, that's completely illiterate. The statistics show that there are more Christians in Iran than there are in Israel. It is clear that the Zionist movement created Israel as, or wanted to pretend that Israel was a Jewish state. There are many Israelis who do not accept that. Many Orthodox Jews do not accept that Israel is a Jewish state. But be that as it may, the state religion of Israel, what Israel claims to be a state religion, is Judaism. It's based on the Old Testament. It's not based on the New Testament. In fact, Israeli state religion regards Jesus the Christ as an impostor. You understand? So Israel is not a Christian state. In fact, there are more Christians in Palestine than in Israel. And beyond that, you've heard about the Church of Nativity. The Church of Nativity is in Palestine. It's not in Israel. Jesus the Christ was actually born in Palestine. And the manger in which he was born is the manger upon which the Church of Nativity has been established. That should explain why the Pope who recently died continued to be in communication with Gaza on a daily basis. Every day he was in contact with families in Gaza, declaring support and solidarity for the Palestinian people. The Pope of the Catholic Church, was in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Now, you're talking about one country in the Middle East. And indeed, it's a small country in the Middle East, which currently is bombing Iraq, killing civilians, killing women and children. It's bombing Lebanon, killing vast numbers of women and children. It's bombing Syria, killing vast numbers of women and children. It's bombing Yemen, killing vast numbers of women and children. It's bent on reducing Gaza to rubble. As we speak, more than 70,000 Palestinians have been killed. Out of these 70,000 Palestinians who have been killed, 2/3 of them are women and children. Women and children. Now, they are using food aid as a trap. You see, when you want to trap mice, you set up your trap and you put food in the trap, and the mice come for the food and they die. That's how Israel is treating the Palestinian people. They've taken over the aid distribution centers and so on. And as the Palestinians rush for daily ration in order to escape from starvation, they shoot and kill them. How callous can they be? This is callousness in the extreme. You understand? They dropped more bombs on Gaza than were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki together. And the world is just sitting down. watching this genocide unfold before our very eyes. I'm completely disgusted by what is happening in West Asia and the Middle East. Completely disgusted. I'm even more disgusted by the inability of the world to stop this nonsensical genocide. What kind of world are we building? If another country can wake up and just drop lethal bombs on another without justification. You understand? I'm really worried about what is happening. I know that the Palestinian people and I know the Iranian people are people of conviction. And they would not, under any circumstance, surrender. They would not. I'm absolutely confident that they will fight to the hilt. And I want to pray and hope that Donald Trump does not commit American forces to this madness. Because the consequences for all of us, for the United States of America, for all of us in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, will be grave. Already we are beginning to suffer the consequences. The price of petroleum products have started shooting up, and it will affect everybody in the world. It is time for leaders of the world to put on their thinking caps and to initiate moves which will restore peace in West Asia and the Middle East. I've listened to President Macron of France, and I think that President Macron of France makes a lot of sense when he says that even if they succeed and bring about regime change in Iran, the consequences for the world will be dire. This is President Macron of France, and he's spoken loudly and clearly that this adventure which is taking place, or misadventure which is taking place in Iran, would have devastating consequences for the world, and is urging his colleagues in the West to stop it. You understand? I listened to President Erdogan of Turkey, of Turkiya, Turkiya, only yesterday evening. And he has come to the conclusion that the greatest threat to peace and security in the Middle East and West Asia is Israel. You understand? I've listened to the Chinese government, and it is clear that they condemn in no uncertain terms what is happening with Israel as the proxy. And I've listened to the Russians, I've listened to many other countries, world leaders, or leaders of many countries in the world, who are disgusted by what is happening in West Asia and the Middle East. I want to believe that cool heads will prevail and that the aggressors will be stopped from continuing this senseless aggression, which will plunge the whole world, if we don't take care, into a thermonuclear war, which would have extremely devastating consequences for all of us. You understand? And look, the arrogance of Israel and its officials is sickening. Only a couple of days ago, I'm sure you all read the statement that the Israeli ambassador in Ghana made. I mean, the effrontery. The Israeli ambassador in Ghana is teaching our government how to behave in international relations.
You said you are disappointed in us.
I was shocked. In any other country, that Israeli ambassador would not be residing in Ghana today. He would have been sent home a long time ago.
What's wrong with what he said?
Who is he to determine Ghana's interest? Not just that, he urges the Mahama administration not to cooperate with the African Union.
Yes.
That we should defy the African Union.
Yes.
Can you imagine? We, Africans, we formed a union which enables us to work together to protect African interests and so on. And there's an Israeli ambassador, some Israeli ambassador here, telling us not to work with the African Union. The effrontery. The effrontery. And he says we should break ranks with the non-aligned movement and the Arab League. Yes. Who is he to dictate our foreign policy? This insult. And he says that Ghana, the government of Ghana is not pursuing Ghanaian interest. And so, who are you to make that determination? But you see, unfortunately for us, for some time now, since the overthrow of Nkrumah, we haven't had strong governments, especially as far as foreign policy is concerned. So all kinds of diplomats, some of them nitwits, actually parade the corridors of power, insulting our leaders, giving instructions to our government and so on, and they go free.
You remember John Benjamin?
Yeah, they go free.
Yeah.
Ghanaian diplomats cannot do that in other countries.
You dare not.
Ghanaian diplomats will be expelled.
What?
They will be disciplined. But in Ghana, it's free for all. Any small nitwit diplomat calls the press, insults our president, give instructions to our foreign ministry and so on, and we are quiet. Amazing. This could never have happened under Champon. It could never have happened even under Jerry Rawlings. It could never have happened under Kwame Nkrumah. But it is happening now. And I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. Our government should show some muscle. Protect our sovereignty. Let these diplomats understand that we elected you. We gave you powers to protect our interests. And we are the only people who can determine whether what our government is doing is right or wrong. It is the Ghanaian people. It is not for an Israeli ambassador to make that determination. I want to see some action. I want to see this government take some action to protect national dignity. What is this?
Moro.
Come on, Eugene.
Well, sad morning. I have always maintained that sovereignty is a mockery.
Why do you say so?
Yes. From all that is happening in the world, yet we preach or we come out to talk about statehood. We talk about sovereignty. We talk about how we are independent. For me, all these descriptions appears a mockery to ourselves. You see, there is a saying of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he put it that where you believers divide your ranks, separate yourselves, and leave gaps, the enemy will come and then take advantage of those gaps and walk in. It's a saying of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, what he was actually advocating for us to do as people who believe in common destiny, people who believe in say, look, all of us must live equal, peaceful, in harmony, then we must uphold unity. We must uphold unity. Look, Africa is struggling today because Uncle Kwesi mentioned Patrice Lumumba. Africa is struggling today because we have not been able to still iron our differences and come together solidly. We are endowed with resources. We are endowed with whatever, both human capital and, natural resources. We do. But yet still, because of the differences that exist between us, we are unable to say, let's come together as one, as a continent. As a result, we have huge price to pay. We have the uranium, we have whatever, the gold, all, mention it, but all in this raw state will go to someone to finish it and then come and give it to us again at a higher price and make us poor. You see, I am building all this because what is happening in the world is exactly the picture.
Right.
So if we are done with Africa, other continents, let's see how we can make do with, ensuring that that unity doesn't exist. So that if the Eastern Bloc is also achieved, okay, today as we speak, who are superpowers of the world?
It's supposed to be America, isn't it?
Absolutely. That continent, North America, is close, knit.
Yeah.
Come to Europe, disintegration. Eastern Europe is doing their own thing. The Western Europe is doing their own thing, disintegrated. The Soviet Union that also rose up, then disintegrated. Today they are fighting among themselves. Ukraine and Russia. Hitherto they were together. Okay? The only area in Asia where I feel is seemingly coming together, even that is not so. I would say China, if it were countries. I mean China, because it's just one country, maybe that is why they appear to be together. You
So
understand?
basically, just say the
But nonetheless, they are not, because look at Korea, it's off. South Korea and North Korea were one. Today they are divided. So it is a ploy, it is a plan already. That look, as soon as that unity that people were earlier scholars advocated for exists, then of course, if I have my interest, I will not be able to push it through. That is why when you see Africa, for me, I keep on saying that this our sovereignty, this our so-called independence is a mockery to the world. Clearly. I am really not happy with what is happening. Day 6 of the war, Israel-Iran. Today is day 6. And threats upon threats.
Yeah.
Still ongoing. We don't even know when it's going to end. We were told just yesterday the US had to go into critical meeting. And on the table also has to do with US striking Iran.
Yeah.
An option as well. So this comes to buttress the point of Ahukwesi that proxy war is what we are seeing. Because, of course, if Israel and Iran have their problems, America now sitting down and talking about how militarily they may have to come in, as it were, then, of course, you come to cement the argument of the proxy war, that maybe it was instigated, with all respect, maybe by you.
I was listening to...
But
just a quick one. Maybe just, don't say this just to buttress the point you're making. I was listening to an interview on Fox with Benjamin Netanyahu. I've forgotten the name of the presenter. And he asked whether what was happening in the Middle East was an attempt to effect a regime change. And he said yes.
Yeah, of course, that has always been, they've maintained that.
Yeah.
He's always said that, you know, they've always said that. But I think really what the world needs is peace. Look, we go to conferences as a world, talk of climate change.
Yeah.
Where are we with climate change matter when we are supposed to be dropping bombs? To destroy the same climate we are talking about going to protect. We sit here and we talk of hunger, and yet people are dying of starvation.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about it. Where are we with the food security arguments that we are making? Then we sit here and talk about nuclear weapons, whatever, and then some countries can boast of we have nuclear weapons, but we are not going to use it. We're going to use it to protect people, but others cannot have. With the reason that maybe they may use it against some other people, but yet they don't appear even provocative.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that this matter, like I said, is unfortunate. The only person who can help us out here is the Supreme Being, who is Almighty Allah. He created us. He created the world. He knows us better than we do know ourselves. He's the only person we can pray to for it to better. Because it's when two elephants meet, the saying goes that the grass suffers. We sit here and today our president is telling us that, look, some mitigating factors have to be looked at as to whatever consequences that we may be facing in the near future to see to it that we cushion ourselves as a result of this war.
Yeah.
You understand? The same thing happened when the ex-vice president was there, Nana Akufo-Addo. When Ukraine and Russia started, today is 3 years down the line. Ukraine-Russia war, 3 years is gone.
Right.
Only God knows the lives that have gone. Only God knows the destruction that we've had. The same president, our president then also said that, look, let us find a way of mitigating. So I'm saying that, look, wherever it happens, there will be rippling effects. And it could affect us. All of us should find a way of the little, our widow's mite, whatever we can say to promote peace in the world, we should do it. But I'm happy that Democrats in America are also not for,
There's no appetite for war.
Yeah, they don't really have the appetite for that. I mean, But just that, it's an ongoing talk. We'll see how the G7 also meeting in Canada. Indeed, it's also not for war, as it were. All of them calling for negotiations and all that. Let's see how it pans out. But we pray and hope that Israel sees the need, Iran will see the need, and then of course there will be ceasefire and the world will get ongoing. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem.
Should we start evacuating Ghanaians?
Yes, I have read something from our foreign minister, and I've served in that block, that region, and I know how it works. Indeed, Ghanaians travel a lot. In Saudi Arabia alone, if I'm not mistaken, Ghanaians living there and working there will be more than 3,000. Far more than 3,000. Far. Okay, that's in Saudi Arabia. In Dubai, I can mention. That's still the Eastern Bloc. Israel, as we speak today, we have over 992 Ghanaians living in Israel.
Whoa.
Some students, some also working there.
Yeah, 992.
992. We have also in Iran, my good brother Mohammed, I don't know where he is now. He's the consul general in Iran for us. And of course, I still know whether he's still there.
Right.
But I pray and hope that they are safe. Okay. In Iran, we have a lot of Ghanaian students. We have a lot of Ghanaians also working there, as it were. So, like I said, whatever happens there touches the world. And if our foreign minister is asking for assistance on how they'll be evacuated, I really don't know how it's going to be done. Because in Israel, for instance, as we speak, all the borders are closed. All borders, sea, land, air, off. So I really don't know how. I'm just pray and hope that, and with Uncle Kosi giving this horrifying story of blacks being denied, bomb shelters, as it were, access to bomb shelters, it's quite a worrying story.
Initially when I saw it, I thought it was a fake video.
Yeah, you see?
Initially when I saw it.
Wow.
Till I cross-checked.
You see? So with all this happening, I think we should be worried. So our foreign minister, of course, could not have said more than that. We only pray and hope that there will be modalities put in place. I'm told in Iran, some were able to use the land and move out of Tehran towards other cities, as it were. But I pray and hope that they will all be safe, and we'll look at it as it were.
So closely related to the Iran-Israel conflict is what is also happening back home. So we're told that the D-levy, as the minority have put it, DUMSA levy, has been put on hold indefinitely or to further notice. Now, if you look at today's custodian on page 2, the former information minister and also former works and housing minister, who's also a journalist and a broadcaster, Kujopon Nkrumah, MP for Fasa Yerebi, he's penned down an article and it's been captured here in today's custodian. It says, "Scrap DUMSA levy for good upon Nkrumah to government." The member of parliament for of Fasa Yerebi, Mr. Kujopon Nkrumah, has intensified calls for the government to permanently abolish the controversial energy sector levy. Mr. Nkrumah, who is also the ranking member on Parliament's Economy and Development Committee, described the levy as unnecessary and counterproductive in the current economic climate. The lawmaker made the call on the back of the Ghana Revenue Authority's decision to postpone the implementation of the recent 1 cedi fuel tax hike per litre. According to Mr. Nkrumah, the postponement of the levy has created what he describes as a strategic window to re-evaluate Ghana's overall fuel-related revenue streams. Speaking to the media, Mr. Nkrumah said that the temporary suspension of the levy implementation, specifically the Tariff Interpretation Order, TIO, number 2, that's 2025-004, should not be viewed as a simple deferment, but as a critical opportunity for fiscal reform. What we are drawing attention to is not just the suspension of the levy, because that levy is unnecessary. We're also drawing attention to the fact that the government should take advantage of this window, which has suspended the levy, even while we are calling for scrapping, he emphasized. He said the TIO, based on the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025 to Act 1141, was due to take effect on June 16, 2025. So that's his view as a member of the Economic Committee of Parliament. And what do you make of it? Government says because of what's happening in the Middle
Clearly,
East,
as one of the
fallouts on hold.
As one of the fallouts from this war, fossil fuel indeed is going to see, price hikes throughout the world. I mean, because the contribution Iran gives to, OPEC.
Right.
The contribution the Eastern Bloc gives to, fuel production in the world.
Yeah.
Iran alone, I stand to be corrected now, but then it was about the whole world. Iran alone was pumping up to 4% of the world usage of fuel.
Right.
Iran alone. I don't know if it has increased or what is the state now. But I'm trying. That means that, of course, that 4% alone gone out is an impact. I'm talking about the whole world. So clearly, it will affect prices. And we saw it before even the war started. Okay. We realized that crude oil prices started going up.
Yeah.
Now, as we speak, it's about around $75 or 74 something dollars.
Right.
But somewhere last 2 weeks or so, it was far below that.
It was 65.
65, as it were. So that tells you that the impact is still going to be there. Now, if a government, back home, a government says, look, given the trend and given what is happening, it is important, and in this case, I'm talking about the president. It is important we critically examine what we put forward for ourselves again, and we look at it and say no. I think that would be a call in the right direction. Except for me to add that, look, clearly, we should have planned properly. We should have focused. We should have made projections before even the law is put in the first place.
Right.
Okay, rushing to Parliament and the certificate of urgency, okay, to tax your people on products that you essentially have to buy and come and sell. Okay, in the name of windfall, when you don't even know whether it's stable or it's going to be stable or it's not going to be stable. For me, I thought it was a fruitless exercise. I mean, I thought, with all respect, lazy work was done. Because this is a country where we are supposed to spend close to $400 million every month to import fuel to sell to our people. Okay, and already we have 22% of tax on the fuel we're selling to our people. And we still go under certificate of urgency just because we feel prices are falling. Dollar has actually gone down against our own currency because of this. Let's cash in the windfall. And you rush to Parliament, giddy, giddy, giddy. Hey, I have passed the law. The next moment, reality is flying in your face. I thought that proper scrutiny ought to have been done. No wonder when I listen to economists, lecturers who are indeed stalwarts when it comes to economic matters, most of them express reservation when this thing happened. Some of them even said that, look, they have reason to believe that the sunset clause is not kept in because they envisage or they see some uncertainties going forward. And I say, if you are seeing them, then why did you, in the first place, why did you even impose it on us? To the extent that you're talking about 1 cedi on a liter. That was quite a lot. That's a gallon will give you close to 4 cedi 50 pesos. You expect the Abuboya, the Okada driver that you say you want to help, who is supposed to buy 2, 3, 4 liters a day for his Okada work, paying close to 5 cedi on a gallon. You expect that Uber driver, that taxi driver, we're going to inflict this pain on them. You see, I have always said that little is much when God is in it. Why can't we sit down? In this case, I'm not just referring to MPP and NDC alone. Government upon government. Can we look at little stuff that, of course, GRA ought to really focus on and ensure that taxes on them are indeed mobilized? Look, tax evasion is a huge problem in this country. We spoke about property rate. Where have you gone with it? We spoke about gifts. Where have you gone with it? There are so many tax handles that we don't even touch. But yet we get an opening and say, oh, windfall, boom. We are always going to use fuel. What this was going to put on us would have been another 4% increment of taxes on our petroleum product to us. So we thank God that it has been called off for now or suspended for now. Look, they should scrap it completely. Because already, Comac, looking to Comac's statement, Comac said, look, already, when you take the price builder for fuel, it's even too much. Already taxes, UPPF, boss margin, whatever, name them, all levies. And yet we're going to add more. It's an easy way in the name of going to pay for debt. Not even to use it to do, say, for example, we're building a plant or industrializing our economy. No, we're going to tax you, take the money, pay for debt, essentially what it means is that we get nothing later. So I think that, look, managers of our economy must sit on the table again. We seem to be talking too much in this country. We seem to be talking too much than doing what actually we're supposed to do. And what we have also failed, I would do, is that we have failed to conscientize the people of this country, the people we are governing. Let them understand that, look, government doesn't sell tomatoes anywhere to make money. You are the same citizen who is supposed to be taxed to pay. I've always given this example. I traveled to Toronto some time ago, and I went into a shop to buy a pen. Then a lady told me that pen was it $10 Canadian dollar or something like that. I know it was $10 or $7. I said, fine. At the point of paying, the lady took her calculator and said, oh, after tax is this. I said, really? No, she didn't even tell me there was this tax component on it. That pen was taxed. Question I want to ask. Have we sat down? And I believe our laws has actually, look, GRA is big. If GRA is really going to do their work properly, to minimize tax evasion and make sure that every collection that is supposed to be on tax, we will not be worrying ourselves with windfall. We will allow the citizen to enjoy the windfall and tax them somewhere through indirect taxes. And I believe, look, before you say all this, oh, we've done it, we are finished, we are done, we are still where we are. And I'm saying this not just because I am MPP or because you are NDC, because that is the norm today. The duopoly is what is happening. But nonetheless, we have not looked at nationally what we can do to make or solve up this our economy. We haven't done that. The easy way, let MPP blame NDC, let NDC blame MPP, and we move on, and Ghana is still where we are. But if Kojo Nkrumah has written this, which is revealing, and we think that he has an idea, at forcing nothing stops you from calling a roundtable discussion, which I know sometimes they do, but implementation is a matter. Okay, let's sit down, look at it, and then we see how we can go. But this easy way of inflicting pain on your people when there are other areas you can go in, of course, for me, is needless.
So I had to say, Tekbe, the other day, last week here in the studio, you know, he's a presidential advisor on the economy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the president's advisor on the economy. And I asked him these same questions, you know, why the government had decided to introduce this tax. I won't even say the introduction, why they decided to hike it, because it's an existing tax. It's only been amended. Then he said, the first thing he said, which I thought was quite interesting, was that the time to prepare for crisis is not when you are in crisis. And that the time to prepare for crisis is when the environment is conducive. So there's windfall. Okay, so you know he's always somebody who's believed in building buffers. So every time you talk to him, he's talking about, you know, how do you call it, sinking fund, and so on and so forth. So, and I thought it made sense to me, you know, so we're making some windfalls as a result of the stability of the CD and so on. And so, if you have to act on one, if you have to save or collect on one CD in order to deal with a crisis or to deal with an imminent or looming crisis, and we all know what's the situation.
I listened to your interview with him.
Oh, with him.
And
I thought he made sense.
And he made a profound statement even in the course of your interview.
Right.
He said, government should also know that you cannot run an economy for 4 years without crisis.
Yes, he said that.
He mentioned that.
Yes, he said that. That's
cautioning and said that, look, let's not see some short respite as a permanent condition.
Right.
It meant a lot.
Right.
He was just trying to say that, look, your projections, your planning must be top notch.
Okay.
That's exactly what
so
he was
the two of you are saying the same thing.
We said yes. So I'm saying that our major issue, we have all the people. Look, all these economics who are smart guys, they give all those reasons, and then yet we don't work with it. All in the name of politics. But I think here I want to say that Ghana must brace up. Because if we said that the tax was meant to come and upset energy sector levy, about $3.1 billion, today we have suspended it.
You mean the energy sector debt?
Debt.
Yeah.
Energy sector debt, sorry. 3.1 billion thereabout. Today we have suspended it. So
you know the debts are still piling, even as we speak.
Come again?
The debt are still
piling.
No,
I know. So today we have suspended it, and the debt are still piling. So what is the next step? What will be the solution? So the argument was that we're going to use this to solve this problem. We don't have it. And listen, the energy sector debt, for instance, was not just accrued by the NPP alone.
It's a legacy debt.
It's a legacy debt.
Yes.
NPP came to inherit. In fact, I remember President Kufuor's time and on the toll levy and all those things. Yeah. We have been running on this. That's why I said, look, we are really not conscious about the problems that we are faced with. Today, you are saying we cannot get the money again. So how are we going to get money? So if we are not careful, the doomsday that we are talking about.
So how do we deal with this debt?
How do you? It's staring us in the face. Well, that
because, like we said, it's mounting.
Yeah,
it's going up. It's not going down.
And you see, for the energy sector, ECG, for instance, I think inefficiency is the issue.
Yes.
Listening to news yesterday or so, I hear some estate that ECG went and disconnected the entire estate because of some suspicion of illegal connections.
Yes.
On my way this morning, I hear Ghana Water Company alone owes ECG close to 1 billion Ghana cedis. Yes. Ghana Water Company alone.
998.
And the argument is that if they shut them down, they cannot also pump water for us.
Yes.
You get that?
So
and I also hear that
GBC also owes.
GBC also
a lot
owes.
Of it, hundreds of millions.
Aside that, ministries who are supposed to have had budgets.
Yes.
Look, go to ministries. Every budget before it's read, you call for inputs from all the departments and agencies. Now, this inputs are given to finance ministry. They put it in the budget. Allocations are made. And trust me, all these payments of electricity are components in the budget. Yet our ministries are defaulting. Meanwhile, monies have been given to them. What is the canker? What is the problem?
How do we clear this debt?
It is attitude.
No.
As simple as that.
It's there. It's sitting on our books.
It's there.
3.1 billion.
Until we change our attitude and do the right thing, then the debt will continue to rise. Our attitude, the problem. People want to be rich. People want to live in largesse. Yet they do not want to pay for what it is or suffer to do it.
Yes, so that's medium to long term.
Yes. Well,
and the kinds of things you're talking about regarding ECG and the problems at ECG are structural problems. It will take us a bit of time to fix them, and we can spend the whole day here talking about those structural problems. That's not really the focus of the conversation. The point is that the debts are mounting every second.
Every second.
For as long as we're using power,
I know.
the debts are mounting. And we've talked about it time and again why the debts are mounting.
So what's the way forward?
Because of system losses, commercial and technical. First of all, we're not even paying the right price for this commodity called electricity. We're not paying the right price. Because governments of a government have struggled to tell Ghanaians that, look, what you are paying is far less than what you ought to pay.
Secondly, we default.
Okay, and then even the ones that we're supposed to pay, we don't pay. Okay, or we find very smart, very criminal ways of avoiding the payment of these ones. Now, what is even more problematic is that even if we're paying what we're supposed to pay, we're still short of close to 40%, which we call the under recoveries.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a structural problem which will take a bit of time. First of all, we need to deal with the source in terms of how much we're buying electricity from the IPPs and so on. And that's why all these renegotiations are happening. Because if you go and buy something from Suno Nasagli at $8 per whatever, and you come and sell it to Ghanaians at $3, there's a $5 differential.
I read something from a judge who said that, look, a company is a legal entity.
Yeah.
But the company operates, and strives on human agents. Okay? That is why I keep hammering on attitude and behavioral change. ECG is a company. ECG has offices from head to toe.
Yes.
Okay? ECG is supposed to be getting their policy direction from the executive as well, through the energy minister and other agencies. Okay? Question is, are these people, these human agents that we're talking about, indeed setting or doing things right to ensure that those companies survive?
Yes.
That's where the question lies. And that's why I keep saying that our attitude, our behavior towards managing what is for the public is what we have to look into. And to do that, to cure that, we first would have to look at how we can uproot this canker of sheer politicization.
When you say when you say attitude not change, on those parts, the part of the management of ECG, or the part of every Ghanaian who uses power?
From the top to the down, where the policy is starting, or where the policy starts, come down to the person who is now supposed to work. So the structure you said, yes.
I have no doubt, absolutely no doubt, about your incorruptibility. I have known you for many years, and I can tell that you are a man of principle, etc., etc. I can assure you that if they give you ECG to manage, you see, we have caricatured ECG to make it look like they are the bad boys in town.
Yeah.
I can assure you that if we put you at ECG, given the kind of structure that exists at ECG, and I've talked about how you go and buy electricity at a certain rate, very high, and then you come and sell it to Ghanaians through Gridco at a certain rate, and I'm saying there's a differential. So it doesn't matter how competent, how patriotic, how principled, how incorruptible you are. The structure will not just allow you to run the place efficiently. I'm not saying that's the only problem, but I'm just saying it is one of the problems we have. We have, look at the Gridco lines, look at the ECG lines. These are obsolete lines. You will not be able to pipe the power through them in ways that you will not lose 30%. What we describe as technical losses. Okay, so until and unless we are prepared to undertake these structural problems, and I'm not necessarily saying we need a private person. What we need is for us to be honest to ourselves about the fact in terms of what's happening at ECG. We'll sit and we'll fix it. And they say, look, Ghanaians, the price at which you are paying electricity, it's not right. You must pay a bit more for electricity. But we will also assure you that when you need your meter, we are there to fix it. We'll also make sure that when your lights go off, we are there quickly to fix the lights. You see, you talked about Ghanaians not wanting to pay their taxes. It is not Ghanaians don't want to pay their taxes. It is we used to call it lampu. We appreciate the importance of paying the taxes. It is what the taxes are used for. That has always been the problem. So if I'm paying my taxes and I don't feel governance, if I'm paying my taxes and the roads are not being built, if I'm paying my taxes and there's rubbish in front of my house, that's what I talk about governance. I'm not feeling governance. People will either avoid or evade. Remember, the two are not the same.
So with all,
do you get the point I'm making?
Moro.
So it is not like Ghanaians don't want to pay. Give Ghanaians a reason to pay the right price, and they will pay.
Moro, with all that you have said, the human factor is not taken out.
No, I agree with you.
That's the solution. So I'm coming. You see,
yes,
I had a privilege of sitting on tour board.
Yes. I need to bring
just to end here.
Yes.
I had a privilege of sitting on tour board, and I was beating my chest at a point. What is happening to us? If in 1965, way back, the government of Ghana thought it wise to say that, look, we need to have a state-of-the-art refinery in Africa.
Yes.
In fact, in Africa then, and from 1965 down the line to where we are today, that facility, with a great respect, is more like a white elephant sitting there. Because that human agent who is supposed to see to it working is not doing what is right. And I'm saying that's exactly what is happening today. Why? We reported missing containers in this country about ECG.
Yes.
How did the matter end?
They've been found. The containers have been found.
Came back to say, oh, we have found it.
Yes. They were probably not missing at all in the first place.
But so those who we arrested with cables and other things and told the world that we arrested some people and they were melted.
It was not related.
So where did they get those cables?
It was not related to what had happened.
Where did they get those cables?
You know, in this country when something happens, people find videos and connect them to the
good brother, you reported that something is missing.
Yes.
Then you have arrested some people in connection with that. You have actually you've announced to the whole world. The next moment, nothing has happened. We are on. That means there's still a problem. So I'm saying that, look, the major solution to this is we have to be conscious about it. As to whether we will be is another matter. It is the human agents who are supposed to ensure that all our institutions work, who must do what is right, use the law, apply it properly, and then, of course, we'll be where we are as a people. Otherwise, confidence is lost. And confidence keeps losing. When we keep losing confidence, you understand? Day in, day out. Ghana is truly not seeing what we're supposed to see.
All right. Okay.
Well, I mean, I want to deal with the facts, because the facts are very, very loud. As we speak, as we sit here, the power sector debt is rising, is climbing. Indeed, the last time I checked, some said that the power sector debt was $3.1 billion.
Yes.
Others even said that it was $3.7 billion. And the power sector debt is rising. This is the reality. This is the fact. Now, as a result of the power sector debt, it is just possible. Indeed, I think it will happen if we don't do anything about it.
No.
Very soon, we would not be able to provide power
at all
to industry, to the health sector. You know, this country can grind to a halt. Yeah. There's a problem that we face. Okay? Now, the facts also include the reality that this energy sector levy is not a new levy. It's been there for some time. Indeed, under the New Patriotic Party, there was an energy sector levy. Yeah. Except that at the time, it was 95 pesos.
Sure.
And this government is adding 1 cedi to it. So that's also a fact. Now, the fact is also that governments, at least since 2000, have come to the conclusion, rightly or wrongly, that the way to retire the energy sector debt is through the imposition of levies.
Right.
And that is why President Kufuor imposed the third debt recovery levy.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
suspect that it is still in
It's still
the,
there. It's still in our
yes,
books.
It's still there. And so these are the facts.
Yes.
Okay? So this government has not introduced a new levy.
Yes.
It has only increased the levy. Okay? The power sector debt is ballooning, and the country faces the threat of a shutdown in electricity supply. Now, this government thought that given the fact that we've had a windfall, as a result of the strength of the cedi, and as a result of world market dynamics and so on, we've had a huge windfall. We could take some of that windfall in order to retire this debt and to make it possible for us to continue to supply electricity to industry, to the educational sector, to the health sector, and so on. Now, our friends, led by Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, says, don't charge that levy. Don't charge that levy. Withdraw that increase in the levy. Is that a solution to the problem?
Obviously not.
It is not a solution to the problem. Yes, don't charge that levy. Okay, we won't charge that levy. What is the solution to the problem?
I asked our good friend here. He says we change our attitude.
Management, mismanagement.
Management.
Proper management.
There is a debt of almost $4 billion sitting on our heads. That's the reality. The power sector is grinding to a halt with devastating consequences for us. Government says, I'm charging a levy of 1 cedi out of a windfall that all of us admit exists. And you say, don't charge it. But there's no solution to the problem. Nobody has offered a solution to the problem. That's my worry. You see, we need to have a responsible opposition. A responsible opposition is the kind of opposition which makes contributions to finding solutions to the problems that confront us. So, okay, we agree. Don't charge the levy, we agree. What is the solution? Zilch, nothing. That's my worry. Okay? That is my worry. In any case, we may also come to the point where we begin to ask questions. How did the power sector debt balloon to $3.7 or $3.1 billion? How did it? Especially when, before the Mahama administration left office, I think in 2017, it set up the ESLA fund, which was supposed to be used to retire the indebtedness. What happened? it becomes important to raise that question. And when you begin to raise that question, one of the things that hits you in the face is that that fund was seized and used as collateral in order to obtain more loans. Can't believe it, but it happened. You understand? It happened. Yes, I have listened to many people who have spoken, and I've listened to people who have said, go ahead, charge the levy. But ultimately, the levy cannot be the final solution to the problem.
Yeah.
Because for as long as the inefficiencies in the system are not addressed, it is likely that there will be substantial waste, which substantial waste can translate into more debt and so on. I agree with that position. You want to impose a levy of 1 cedi, perhaps go ahead, but ensure that the technical losses that ECG suffers are reduced. Ensure that the gross mismanagement of the power sector is addressed, and so on, so that the public is not unduly overburdened with levies. And I agree with my brother here that many of our governments have stopped thinking. Okay? So anytime there's a problem, the solution is just tax. And so on. We ought to be able to move away from that. So I agree with you on that score. That long term, maybe even medium term, we should begin to think about things that we can do in order to remedy our current situation without resorting to increased taxation. And that, as a principle, is a welcome principle. You understand? Now, government takes cognizance of what is happening in West Asia and the Middle East, basically the Iran-Israel conflict, and realizes that, look, it is possible that the price of petroleum products will shoot up. And therefore, the windfall that we want to take part to retire the debt may not be there. So therefore, let us suspend this levy for some time. And the opposition says, why are you doing that?
They want it totally scrapped.
And then my brother here says the government should have anticipated that.
We didn't even want it in the first place.
Hold on. My brother, let me tell you, honestly, from the bottom, the very bottom of my heart, that I know that there's no witchcraft in the Mahama administration. Only wizards could have predicted that there was going to be this outcome in the Israel-Iran tensions. Who could have predicted that 6 days ago, Israel would behave in this reckless manner and launch this massive aggression against
Just
Iran?
like COVID and Ukraine war, Russia-Ukraine war.
Who could have predicted?
Who could have predicted?
No, please don't go to Russia and Ukraine war. That's another terrain. Don't go there. You understand? So if it has happened, in the case of the Ukraine-Russia war and so on, hardships were imposed on the people of Ghana. In the case of the Israel-Iran conflict, the hardships are being reduced. That's the substantial difference. The hardships are being reduced. So don't compare the two. Don't put the two together. Two different things are happening. You understand? So if you issue press statements and you say, but then government shouldn't have imposed the levy because government should have anticipated this conflict and so on, I begin to wonder. You think that Mahama is a wizard? You think that there are some witches in Jubilee House? There are no witches in Jubilee House. They are human beings like us. I couldn't predict. And I didn't expect you to predict. And I don't see how anybody could have expected Mahama to exhibit this very high level of wizardry in predicting that this was going to happen. It has happened. We have to take account of it.
Okay.
Any responsible government would have to take measures in order to minimize the impact, of this conflict on our economy and so on. And I think that that's one of the measures that this government has taken.
Right.
In any case, we haven't seen the worst yet. And I'm sure you know that we haven't seen the worst yet. Iran is actually threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
And if it crosses the Strait of Hormuz,
natural gas surface.
Wow. Energy supply is going to be in huge problems. And the prices are going to escalate. And every country in the world
will suffer.
And is preparing for that. Now we know. Now the threat has been made. So we know. So you can factor it into your planning and so on. You understand? So let us all think together and see if we can find some solutions to the problem which will alleviate the sufferings of Ghanaians.
Okay.
And stop pretending
right.
that once you get to Flagstaff House, you become a wizard. There are no wizards in Flagstaff House.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking about
let me be quick to add
we need to take a break.
Let me take a break.
I'm sorry about that. But we'll have to move on to because there are two more issues to look at. And when we come back, we'll be taking a trip to the Mayo Hospital. You know that you will take us there. It's in Minnesota. Yeah, he knows there.
Oh, Minnesota, yeah.
Come on, do you know
I have not been to Mayo. I don't even know there. I don't even know where Mayo is located.
We'll take a trip. So please stay with us.
This mischief.
Minnesota.
Interesting.
Car Center in Ghana, offering unparalleled round-the-clock service in autos and accessories. Nadam Autofix is the biggest distributors of used tires in Ghana, offering first-grade second-hand car tires of all rim sizes at both wholesale and retail prices. We are also the leading name in car sensor diagnostics, corrections and sales of car accessories. We excel in car washing and detailing with state-of-the-art steam engine washing machines that keep water away from your engine, ensuring a clean, healthy and responsive engine. Nadam Autofix, the first name in servicing, car accessories and car washing. Visit us today and experience the world of class difference. Find us today at Asoridaho, directly opposite Dansoman KFC and the Shell filling station. For more details, you can call us on 0503 244 266 or 0535 339823. Nado Motofix, Wukwainso Nyonko Papa.
Wabedum tamaso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwaya mabesisia. Abozege. Akache say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eji. Dabio, baby wom. Ready. Hey, baby wom. Ah, Aji! I'll cause some discomfort. Ah! Uncle! Sorry, uncle, where would the dad? Why your funeral? At your phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
No mum share Nanda Daya was a mosquito call is to do woman. Na say spray with them, sir. Try sima a dronum and sana ko dynamo.
And Kratoi FDA Ajatum.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel. Made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed. All in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
Want to get polytank?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
No, I want to left, right.
That's right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, any data. Oh no! I beg, na here. Me pe polytank at all. And you think I'm in your bed to be able to buy you. Or food to be enjoy you.
Akuya bulambu kotoman. Emua.
Like they took my eyes. Go to the distributor and you give the original polytank. You get a sound?
Polytank. Papananka Sankasa.
Mommy. Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Tucked between the vibrant energy of Accra and the scenic charm of the Kwabena Hills, our gated community offers the perfect blend of tranquility and accessibility. Welcome to Rehoboth Knightsbridge, where nature meets opportunity. Secure your future with fully serviced plots with well-tarred roads, reliable drainage systems, electricity and water. Build your dream home in a community that cares for your well-being and safety. Indulge in premium amenities that redefine luxury living: a swimming pool, tennis court, basketball court, sauna and steam in the iconic shopping mall, all within reach. It's more than just a space. It's your sanctuary in the city. Wake up to mountain views, take a jog under palm-lined paths, and experience the perfect balance of city access and natural beauty. Starting at just 450,000 cedis with flexible payment plans. Visit www.rehobothpropertiesgh.com or call or WhatsApp 024-476-4499 or 020-495-0810. Rehoboth Properties, quality housing for all.
All right, you're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television, and I'm here with Mr. Kwesi Prazo Jr., who is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. I'm also here with Kamaluddin Abdullahi, who is a deputy communication director of the New Patriotic Party. I promised you before we took the break that we're going to catch a flight to Minnesota in America, as in United States of America. And we're there. We just arrived. It's a bit. Is it cold now? Is it cold now in Minnesota? I mean, you go
Who
there
was
quite
there?
frequently.
I've never been to
What weather would you think?
I don't even know how the place looks like.
All right. Okay.
Why this mischief?
We'll check out the weather because we're still.
Why this mischief?
We'll check out the weather.
I'm not sure I've even had an American visa before.
So obviously 2 days ago we received a love letter from the wife of the former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta. She's Professor Angela Ofori-Atta, and she was updating us on what her husband has been going through, medically. So in that letter, in fact, it's been captured in today's Accra Times on page 7. It says former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta has successfully undergone surgery for prostate cancer, according to a statement issued by his wife, Professor Mrs. Angela Ofori-Atta. And it says, my husband, Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, has undergone the scheduled robotic-assisted radical prostatectomy. Hey, SMO. Let me take it again. It's prostatectomy. Hey. The statement said, the procedure aimed at treating prostate cancer was performed at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota on Friday, June 13. The statement added that doctors are pleased with how the procedure went and will now place him on a post-operative regime. It noted that Mr. Ofori-Atta is bearing up well and focused on doing whatever he can to restore to good health. However, the former finance minister expresses concern over the Office of the Special Prosecutor declaring a red alert on him. The statement adds, and you can see it displayed on your screens. Ogozi, you like the update?
Well, first of all, there are so many things that don't hang together properly.
Okay.
One of them is the merry-go-round, that the special prosecutor is subjecting us to. I know it's a fact. And according to the little law that I know, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is not under any obligation to cooperate with the investigating authorities.
Yes.
So Mr. Ofori-Atta can come into Accra and say that I won't talk, I won't answer questions, and it will be perfectly within his legal rights. So this impression that until and unless we brought Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta into Accra and taken him into a room in the Special Prosecutor's office, investigations will be stalled. It's problematic. I don't understand it.
Okay.
I don't understand it at all. He doesn't have to be here for investigations to be conducted or concluded. As a matter of fact, he can even be prosecuted in absentia. So this whole thing about bringing him and red alert and so on, sometimes I have a feeling that it could amount to nothing but red herring. Okay, that's true. Then it's also very clear to me that the many stories that are coming from Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta himself and his family don't hang together. It's a problem with the stories we are being told. I listened to an interview that Mr. Ofori-Atta's wife granted to Joy FM, I think, and I was amazed at the information she herself disclosed. One, they were allowed because his PSC, first of all, they went to the hospital, and his PSC was not, PSC is a blood test, the results of a blood test. It was in a region which suggested that something could be wrong with him. What could be wrong with him had not been determined. Then they went for a second PSC test, and the levels were quite high, leading to a suspicion that something could be wrong with him. But in order to confirm what was wrong with him, they needed to do a biopsy. Okay?
A biopsy?
Biopsy. I'm not a doctor. And that process is just about taking a sample and testing the sample to see whether it was cancerous or not. Okay. So these are the stages. At the time they were shouting that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta was indisposed and could not come to Ghana and so on, early in the year, February. According to her, the biopsy The biopsy. Say it again.
Biopsy. Biopsy. I've simplified it.
We're in a medical school today.
Biopsy.
Biopsy. Okay. It had not been done.
Yes.
It had not been done. Okay? So the only thing they had was the fact that his PSC level was high.
Yes.
That's not sufficient proof of cancer. It's not sufficient proof of cancer. And that is why the doctors, the neurologists would recommend that you go to the pathologist, they take a sample and they test.
Yes.
So, but be that as it may, even if it is proven that Mr. Kenoforiata has prostate cancer, so what? Master, do you know the number of men who have prostate cancer and they are working? You understand? Go to the prison. Find out how many prisoners have prostate cancer and you'll be amazed. In fact, the doctors say that every man, between the ages of 40, 45 and you die, there's a likelihood that you will get it. And many of them get it. You understand? These days, even the medical sciences have developed non-intrusive surgery. Non-intrusive surgery to deal with prostate cancer. So people actually go to the hospital, they have the surgery, and they go back home. The only inconvenience they may have to deal with is that they may have to carry a catheter. You understand? So prostate cancer is not what they make it to be. Master, do you know the number of surgeries people have undergone and they're walking around and so on? Why? This ambulance trial involving atoposin and so on. You remember one of the accused persons was actually paralyzed. He couldn't walk. He was in a wheelchair. They put him in a wheelchair and wheeled him to the court to go and testify. He was actually partially blind. Compare his state of health to the state of health of Kenoforiata, who has been captured in videos eating from Asian restaurants and merrymaking and so on. What are these Kofuanansi stories that are being told us all over the place? What is this? You understand?
Captured in videos.
Do you trust those videos?
Oh.
Well,
yes, these days of AI.
Hold on.
I mean, I didn't expect it from Uncle Kwesi.
These days, honestly, we should all be careful about the videos.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's even possible that that's an old video. Yes. I don't know.
No.
Understand? No. If you come to AI, it's a different kettle of fish. I don't know. But then I've seen those videos. I'm not saying that they're authentic or they are not authentic. You understand? But I'm saying that the presence of those videos raises the level of doubt, even if they are false. For those of us who cannot say whether they are false or not, it raises the level of doubt.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Now, you see, so this business of Kenoforiata being investigated and so on, let the OSP carry on with the investigation. What is the problem? Are there no documents in the Ministry of Finance? If they relate to contracts with IMF and other organizations and so on, where are the contracts? You understand? He had deputies. Some of them are still around. He had special assistants. They are still around. There was a chief director at the ministry. He's still around. The banks we operated with are still around. Why is the difficulty? Why is it so very necessary for him and him alone to come before the investigators? It doesn't make sense to me. You know, I'm a bit puzzled. But also he and his wife, that is Kenoforiata and his wife, should stop telling us those Anansi stories. You know, because it's not helping them and it's not helping anybody. Well, you understand?
I mean, for doubting Thomases who don't even believe that he's undergone any kind of surgery.
There are those people, but I'm not a doubting Thomas.
Okay.
I want to think that Mr. Kenoforiata is an honorable person and he would not lie about his state of health.
Okay.
Even as his wife, you know, messes up the whole thing with
The fact that he's undergone surgery successfully.
No, this thing about biopsy or whatever you call it.
Let me read it.
And PSC.
It's called
it doesn't hang together.
protastectomy.
Whatever it is, whatever it is. I don't want to be a medical doctor this morning. I'm not now coming to be schooled on how to be a medical doctor on your show. So I can't pronounce the word. It's difficult for me. I'm a simple fancy boy from Kutubabi down. If I can't pronounce some words, it's okay. You understand? But what I'm saying is this. Those stories don't add up. So they should stop telling us those stories.
Okay.
Let the OSP get on with his work. And let's see what the outcome will be.
Okay.
That's all. Simple.
All right.
I read a piece. Okay.
You know, Kwesi speaks Hausa very fluent.
No, not fluent. Not fluent.
He just asked you. When
I've always interacted with him in Hausa in a way.
Okay.
My Hausa
when
is
I
not
go
fluent.
No, it's good. It's good.
It's
passable.
On African TV. You see, I read something from the Venerable Martin Amidu.
Sure.
Make no mockery of someone's health. Okay? Make no nonsense of someone's health. It could be you, it could be me, it could be anybody tomorrow. But when I read it, I was like, wow, this is quite informing and alerting. And he was actually writing on the back of what we are discussing today, the Kenu Frata matter. That is why I'm not a lawyer, but most lawyers have said that, look, health grounds are enough grounds, okay, to defer certain matters in terms of justice delivery. And I want to agree with Kwesi when he says, look, I made this point 3 weeks ago when I was here. I said, look, nothing stops you. That is why public wrong is a public wrong. You have wronged the state. The state says what you did was untoward. There are laws against it. Contrary to those laws, you are charged. The state says whether you come to court or you don't come to court, the court will summon you. And when they summon and you don't appear, the judgment will be entered in default against you. It's there. So I'm surprised that all these things are before us.
Yeah.
But yet, we are here talking about going to Minnesota and going to Mayo and going to wherever. I think that is not proper. First of all, I would like to say that the statement you just shown us on TV, coming from his wife, comes to cement the fact that indeed there's some truth being told about his health. We should know that Ken Offuata has a history of health. Even when he was appointed as finance minister, to appear for vetting, due to health, he could not come.
Okay.
Even when budget was supposed to be read, okay, a national assignment of that by him, because of health, he wasn't even present to do that. These were good times even. So what reason do we have to say that he's lying about himself? To the extent they want to trivialize it and say we've seen some videos that he's been dancing and then he's merrymaking somewhere. I think it's not proper, it's not fair. Okay, it's not. Yes, some people might have been taken to court under conditions that they are not supposed to. That doesn't mean that it was right. Some people have actually shown that they are not well, but yet security forces or agencies went to them inhumanely and brought them before the law. I think it wasn't right. If it happened yesterday, it shouldn't happen today. So for Ken Offuata to have come out to say, look, I am not well, and you can go ahead with it. Why? It was Ken Offuata in Ghana when SML offices were raided. No. You went and had a warrant, you went to SML, you have been able to do the work you want to do. Still ongoing. So this brouhaha, Ken Offuata, and the wife has to come and whatever. Look, I think that, look, a noble man who has saved this country, if for nothing at all, as the finance minister, we hailed him in 2017, in 2018.
Who held you?
Why? Most Ghanaians? If you did not, we did. I was part of it.
Why? I didn't.
When we saw Abosu kind people saying that, look, this is a finance minister we wanted because he had taken some taxes off for them on purpose. They hailed him. He's done some good to this country. I'm not saying he's perfect. He can never be 100%. And I'm not saying he's not supposed to be amenable to investigation. He's supposed to be. However, we should try to handle matters the way humanely we're supposed to handle it. Once again, I am back to my point. The politics on matters is too much here.
Okay.
I'm not sure the wife will go and use an institution's name. Okay?
Right.
When in fact it's not the case.
Okay.
That hospital will not listen.
All right.
The US and other areas will not just countenance us.
Okay.
I'm not sure the wife will say that he has gone into theater when in fact it's not so.
All right.
So I believe that some credence is given to the story that he's indeed not well.
Okay.
Let's look at what it is and then see how.
Let me read a few messages and I'm
Except that, small. Except that.
Yeah.
When his own side of parliament petitioned for his removal and one of the grounds was ill health,
Yes.
he came back and told us that, look, he has very strong genes. At the time, the complaint was about his liver.
But when you get well...
Hold on. The complaint was about his liver.
Yeah.
And said he has so strong genes that in spite of his liver condition, he can continue to be minister.
Yeah.
Have you forgotten?
When you are
So
well, you can get well.
He himself said that ill health should not be a condition which can be used to justify non-performance of duty. He himself said that because of his strong genes. What has happened
by
to
implication?
What has happened to his strong genes?
Oh, you see,
have the strong genes deserted him?
We want us to go back and forth on this matter. Like I said, we are all humans. Sickness can visit anybody.
So your genes,
that's what we did to, with the
escape.
greatest of respect. That's what we did to Professor Mons of blessed memory. We were taking his health for granted, to the extent that we asked him to be trotting at the airport, to show to the world that he's strong.
You and who asked him to
Ghanaians. So the man came from airport, I'm from America, and I'm healthy, everything is fine. In the next moment, what happened to us? So you see, we should not be joking with him.
Let me read this message.
Because I don't remember telling Professor Mills to trot at the airport.
But the man was jogging at the airport just to prove to us that he was well, because we were trivializing his health.
You and who? When you say you and who are you
I'm speaking in generics anyway. I'm sorry to say do this, but that's a fact, and that's what we should be doing. He doesn't remember. I do remember. That's fine. I mean, it lies with me not to remember, and maybe I will remember. So you
remember that you and others urged Professor Mills to trot at the airport.
I remember that people were. You see, I remember that there was some trotting, there was some jogging. You see, and I think we shouldn't be trivializing health issues at all.
So let me read a few messages. So Bosa Al Hassan from Tema says, in 2016, sorry about this, I'm tearing. In 2016,
sorry, very sorry.
You see what you have done to me. You see what you have done to me.
What have I done?
He's crying. Mo is crying. You've made him cry.
In 2016, the NDC left the energy sector with a debt of 2.5 billion. The NDC introduces ESLA, which was to be used to clear the indebtedness. The MPP rather mismanaged the money, left a debt of 3.5 billion. The MPP must position themselves as a responsible opposition. Kamal Dean and his party fanatics must think outside the box and profound solutions to solve the Doomsday issue that's affecting every single Ghanaian. Kamal Dean emphasizes on prudent management. Without clearing the indebtedness, how do we resort to prudent management of the energy sector? The OSP is playing Ankama with Ghanaians in simple terms. Ankonoma. Okay. With Ghanaians in simple terms, he's shielding Ken Oforiatta as OSP. They have all the powers to go and arrest Ken. What is he waiting for? I've heard some people propose that he should go to America and go arrest him. I don't know whether he can do that. I don't know that laws of America would allow him to go on the way to their country and arrest somebody. You know, Musa Abatwani and Sawasi said, good morning, Moro. The emotional love letter written by Ken Oforiatta's wife may tag at heart, but it doesn't change the fact or clear his status as a fugitive declared by the OSP. This is not a matter of feelings. It's a matter of law and due process. The real question remains, why did they fail to present a credible medical report to the OSP from the very beginning? That would have been the responsible and lawful course of action, no sentimental distractions. All right, so I guess that we would have to move on and look at some other issues. So, gentlemen, there's there's vetting for Supreme Court judges. For potential Supreme Court judges. Of course, for now, the appeal court, they are with the appeals court. And, of course, until Parliament passes them, they would not become Supreme Court judges. And we've watched some of the things that they've said. In fact, if you look at the newspapers today, quite a number of interesting angles. So Daily Guide says that constitutional interpretation vested in judiciary, not Parliament, Justice Mensah. And that's one of the judges who appeared before the committee. The Ghanaian Times says, give career magistrates opportunity to upgrade at law school, Justice Bright Mensah. And then the Informer says that resist political interference, Supreme Court nominee urges colleagues, and that's a Justice Dennis Dominic Ejay. And then the Publisher says 2-term presidential limit, Mohammed's SC nominees back restriction. And then also, the Herald of today says Macaulay's legal training model outdated and inadequate. Justice Mensah tells Parliament urges decentralization. Yeah, and then Accra Times, human resource and working tools very essential. Justice Jamepe. Uncle Z, is there anything? Oh, come on. Is there anything that you'd want to bring attention to?
First of all, our Constitution is clear that there's no capping to the number of judges or justices that we will need at the Supreme Court. Therefore, presidents are clothed with the powers at any time on the advice of the Judicial Council to, if you like, appoint justices of the Superior Court, which many presidents have done. President Mahama is doing same, okay? And in the course of that, they are supposed to be given parliamentary approval after that is done, per Article 144 or so. Clearly, the kind of people have followed their vetting gives me some hope that indeed we are adding on to our Supreme Court some, if you like, great knowledge.
Okay.
Because listening to some of them, I mean, almost all that I've listened to, indeed exhibited that, knowledge of the law.
Okay.
Clearly, I am not a lawyer, but of course, you don't need to be a lawyer to know. A reasonable man must be one who knows what the law is. Okay? But clearly, from their answers, from their demeanor, their posture, okay, it tells me that there's some amount of constitutionalism that we're going to see, okay, them bringing on board as well. Because almost all of them, if you have watched their vetting, alluded to the fact that they will stay put with what the Constitution says. Almost all of them. And they will stay put with what the law says and apply the law as it's supposed to be applied. But I find it interesting. Some questions were asked, like the LGBTQ question, for instance. Justice, one of them said something. He said, look, it's not about my emotions, it's not about my faith. Somebody referred, the question has to do with, you are a Catholic, and if someone should be brought before homosexual and what, he said, look, it's not about my faith. It's not about who I am. It's about what the laws of Ghana say against that particular act. That is what I'm going to use to apply. And that was a very good, response. Some of them have also professed, if you like, beautiful and excellent, suggestions. Like one of them saying that let fresh lawyers who come out of the law school be assigned to legal aid for national service.
Right.
Great. Look, go to the offices of the legal aid throughout the country. Do you know every district is supposed to have a legal aid office?
Yeah.
I'm asking, how many districts do we have lawyers? Right. District assemblies even. And I think that's a great idea. Some of them saying that, look, if the legal training we are having today, people, pundits, legal luminaries have made arguments a lot about decentralization and how it ought to be done. One of the justices said that, look, let's look at feasibility studies first. When it establishes the decentralization process and the curriculum to be looked at again, let's look at it and go. All these things that they brought on board for me is excellent. Right. And let me commend Parliament for the work they have done. But the questions that were posed to most of them were very relevant and excellent questions. And without a doubt, the justices who have been nominated by the president, okay, waiting for this ratification of Parliament to become justice of the Superior Court, Supreme Court, have all so far, for me, trust me, exhibited that, prowess. Without a doubt, they've shown that they have been in that industry or that profession for some time. Let me single out Justice Denise J. and Jamefe, and just yesterday, our mother, who was...
I struggle to mention her name, sorry.
Is it Azu? Echo, Battle something.
Yes,
I have to get it.
I've always struggled to mention her name.
You see, and
so I'm not the only person struggling with pronunciation.
So
it's a common disease.
And she was so excellent.
Yes.
I pray and hope that, look, emotions will be put aside as they have exhibited, and the law will be the law, then we can move on.
Okay.
Finally, on this matter,
okay,
there was a profound question on whether or not 2 terms really mean 2 terms by the Constitution of Ghana, and that would, in the most unlikely event, and that we put it that way, that President John Dramani Mahama or somebody goes to court to say that, look, he has done 1 term, and for that matter, he wants to go again. Does it mean that he can have it because the 2 terms should be, if you like, conservative or something like that? Conservative or something. They say no. 2 terms mean 2 terms, in their view. So what the law is what we are going to stay on. And I think that's quite refreshing. If our constitution, even before you get there, you give a principle that shows that indeed you are going to uphold constitutionalism for us, it's quite refreshing and it's good. On capping of the justices of the Superior Court, I finally think that, yes, some of them are of the view that 20 is of a good number. Some also think that, look, it should be left so. The framers of the constitution had a reason for not capping it. Okay, other jurisdictions, they have capped it. They don't get to that level. But our framers, the framers of the Constitution, actually in their wisdom did not actually cap it. And I think the justices are also on that score. By and large, I think they have proven to be great brains. And I believe they are going to add up to the Supreme Court, one of the best, if you like, arrangements that we're going to have as a country in our democratic dispensation. I really got so much interested in their vetting and so much interested in their answers, and was so happy about what actually I heard from them.
What do you make of one of the proposals that Justice Jamefe said, which had to do with setting up a Supreme Court at the northern part of Ghana because of the challenges that people have with access to justice? You have to trek from one point to the other, and it's such a distance.
And not even the Supreme Court, appeals court.
Appeals court, eh?
We don't even have an appeals court in the north. We have to come all the way to Kumasi.
Oh, that's serious.
Yes, if a matter is referred or is on appeal to the Court of Appeal, you would have to come to Kumasi. So I could not have agreed with him the more.
Right.
Because the northern part is growing. For the first time...
What prevents Supreme Court judges or Court of Appeal justice from sitting in Tamale? Nothing prevents them.
In Tamale, we should have it.
So your point is, do they need a physical edifice to do that?
No, they can sit there. I don't see anything which debars them from sitting in Wali Wali.
No, maybe they just need a court building. I don't know, but there should be a court building or so. I really don't know.
Perhaps it will be more convenient for them.
But the entire northern part doesn't have a court of appeal.
That's not good.
And that's quite bad.
So you're asking about the 2 ladies. Let me see if I can attempt. So there's Justice Janapari Battels Kojo.
Okay.
That's one.
Yes,
that's the woman you're talking about. Okay. The one that I struggle small with is this one, Justice Hafsatu Amalaboba.
Hafsatu Amalaboba, yeah.
Amalaboba, yeah. Anyway, so I have crossed my barrier.
Well, at the end of such a brilliant submission by my brother here,
okay,
I think it's only appropriate that I invoke my right to remain silent.
All right, so then we'll move on. We'll use the next 15 minutes
to do MPP.
To do MPP.
I know you can't go with
we've got to be brief about it.
So then we are going to lash at us.
Oh, why? Oh, this is not fair to our cookies.
Anyway.
So I still believe in Bamia take a fairly play. MPP elects flag bearer January 2026. And then Gabi Asare Ochedakun has also been talking. He has huge problems with the fact that you commissioned a report to look at the what went into your 2024 defeat, and you refused to give a copy to the former president. I mean, what could possibly be the justification for not doing that? It's in one of the newspapers. So let's put all of that together. So yesterday you held, was it National Council meeting? Is the name? Yeah. At Alisa. What are some of the fine outcomes that you want to share with us? That you think
well, we had our national NEC and National Council meeting. I was there actually, and we received some reports.
Okay.
Of course, I think the Ablik-Monof matter featured. And this is where the Ghana Police Service, and Electoral Commission, as directed by the court, should do the needful. Whatever they can do to let citizens of Ablik-Monof get an MP or a representative in Parliament, then they should do that. The court directed. And if we are all binded by whatever the court says or the law says, I think they should be mindful of this matter. The last time I checked, the Electoral Commission says that the police has not given them enough security yet. The police also says the Electoral Commission has not given them date yet. This back and forth should stop. It is not whoever becomes the MP. It's about the representation of the people, which is very important anyway. So we discussed that. Then we also looked at our calendar. You see, many people are out there saying the early Congress, MPP is going in January. That is not early. Our constitution says when we are in opposition, we elect our flag bearer 2 clear years before even the election.
Right.
It's clear in our constitution. So I don't know why people say it's early. I don't know where the argument is coming from. Ideally, we should even hold the election somewhere in December or towards the end of December, per what the constitution says. Nomination should open 6 months in June. Should have opened by now. So that by 6 months' time, we'll be holding the election. That's what the constitution says. So I'm surprised.
So clarify that the constitution says at least 2 years before.
2 years before the general election, next general election.
So it could have been this year.
So it could have, no, it's supposed to be at least by end of this year.
Yeah, by the end of this year.
By end of this year. But the constitution gives a caveat that look, open nomination 6 clear months in between before that election.
Yeah.
So because of that, we looked at it. Already we are in June, going to July. So the 6 clear months may not be met. Therefore, we said, okay, let us move it to at least. And per Article 13 of the Constitution of the MPP, we can, National Council can vary some of these dates, as it were. So National Council then said, look, let's vary it and push it to somewhere January 26. So I'm surprised some are saying early Congress. There's nothing like early. That narrative is wrong in the first place. What actually is a novelty is what we looked at the top-down approach. Which is the proposal that we brought forward. That look, this whole noise about flag bearership election, this one says it's Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. D, whatever is happening. A party that suffered such a defeat, we should find a way of quickly getting some of these things done and nip in the bud, then we can move on as a country, as a party. So we agreed that, okay, instead of going through the polling station, the constituency, and blah, 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 until getting this, why don't we put together the electoral base? Having put together the electoral base, we start with the flag presidential. That's the only novelty we had actually introduced.
So before you start from the base, and the build-up was.
So after you are done with the base constitutes the electoral college.
Yes.
Now after you are done, you go to constituency level.
Yes.
Then from constituency you come to region.
Right.
Then from region you go to national.
Yeah.
Then from national now you think of that. Well, we thought that the timing.
Okay.
Because the constitution tells you 2 clear years.
Yes. So you may not be able to do it before.
So very well. So after doing it, the arrangement, then let's have our presidential first. So that it will now settle. Reconciliations would have been done. We'll come together as a party and move on. That's the only new thing I saw we introducing. But for the date of the election, it is still within what the constitution of the MPP says.
Right.
as it were.
Okay.
So basically, that's what we discussed.
But how about the issue about the expanded electoral college?
Yes, we set up our last meeting. We had calls to say that, look, let's review our constitution again.
Yes.
So we set up a committee, okay, led by the Venerable Frank Davis.
Yes.
Okay, to look at our constitution and give us some recommendations based on the proposals that they will receive from party people,
right,
and based on engagements that they are going to have with, if you like, stakeholders of the party, which they did a great job. And yesterday they presented their report to us, gave us certain amendments, as it were, such as suggestions. You will not believe it. They received close to 300 proposals from party people.
Okay.
And they had extensive engagement with people. So they pruned it down, gave us their recommendations. That one, again, it doesn't lie with National Council to adopt. It lies with National Conference to adopt.
Whoa.
That's the highest body.
Okay.
So we may have to go to conference, present that report to them. The committee did their work. This is what they have done, whatever. And at the end of the day, these are the suggestions to make some amendments in our constitution. If National Conference says, okay, we okay it, then of course those fine-tunings will be done, and then we move on as a party, as it were. But in the tentative, our constitution says you must have your candidate 2 clear years before the next election. So in the tentative, the National Council sat down based on Article 13, varied the date to January, and then said that, okay, we are going to have our
presidential election. Means is that the next flag bearer of your party will not be voted for by an expanded base. That's what it means. Because you don't have time to to undergo this constitutional amendment before you vote for your flag bearer.
Yes, so I've said 2 things. I've said that there has been proposal for amendment of our constitution.
Yes.
Which the work has been done. I've also said that we are constitutionally bound to have our flag bearer 2 clear years before that.
I get that.
Based on that, National Council said, okay, this is your proposal, you have had it. We have to go to conference on this one. But however, we are binded by this constitution now. So this is our arrangement.
Yes.
So we are setting a date for the presidential primaries based on the existing constitution right now, which is January next year. Just because of the caveat I spoke about, the 6 months opening. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying, but the conference will come on after the January.
Yeah, the conference will come on, and of course, the outcome of the conference will determine whether these proposals that I'm talking about, that one will be mentioned or not. If not, otherwise we go on with our.
So it won't affect the proposals. Will definitely will not affect the January internal elections.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
It would only kick in.
Remember that when you go and adoption is done, there will be date for what? Enforcement.
Okay.
Or for it to come to force.
Okay.
So I'm sure that that will not affect it. The constitution now stays. The new constitution, in case we go and it's adopted. Okay. As to when it's going to be put in force, they will have to try to, should I say, harmonize it with the old constitution. Okay. Or whatever agreement that we have in place, and then we move on.
So essentially, the electoral college that elected Dr. Mahmoud Bami will be the same electoral college.
Yeah, we have our the polling station and whatever that we have already an existing electoral college.
Yes, I get it.
The new one is there. There are proposals, like I said, which has come of increment, expansion, and all that. But for now, if the election is going to be held based on the old constitution, then of course there will not be any touch.
Okay, that's fine.
As it were.
That's fine. Obviously.
Whoa, I'm getting confused. NPP always manages to confuse us. Listen, I'm reading the papers this morning, and Mr. Gabi Otredaku says that he has not seen the Okwe report, which is supposed to be the basis of the reform.
Yes.
He doesn't end there. He actually says that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the immediate past leader of the party, has not seen this report. And there are many people in the party who are saying, what is happening? You set out the Makokwe report to go and find out why you lost the elections. He brought a report. On the basis of that, you have told us that the party needs reform if it has to win elections again.
Yes.
Your very leaders at the top, they don't know what is in the report.
But the report is only one.
But is that not the problem? They don't know what is in the report.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Meanwhile, we are going about making an announcement about election of officers and so on. And then you admit that your elections of flag bearer and officers and so on may follow the old model.
Yes.
The old model which was responsible for your defeat is what you are going to follow.
Yeah, but how do you know if that is contained in the report? If the report says it's the old model that has created a
But
problem.
they have been telling us since the Okoye report was presented
Yes.
that one of the problems that they had was
electoral
how
college.
they elected their leaders as well.
Okay.
And that the old model has to change.
Okay.
You want to go into 2008, 2028 elections with that same old model that we are blaming? Hey, what are these people up to? I mean, I can't understand. Something is wrong.
Okay.
You understand? Something is wrong. In any case, if the Okoye report is so secret, those who are suggesting the reforms and so on, I presume that if Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has not read the report, has not seen the report, as is claimed by Gabi Ochedaku, and Gabi Ochedaku himself has not read the report, then maybe my brother here hasn't read it.
Possibly. Have you seen the report?
So on what basis are they making all these
comment on
claims and
this
so on?
report
On the
matter?
report matter.
Our last meeting before this meeting, when the Okoye report was presented, the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, was in the meeting.
Okay.
And I recall very well that he himself got up to say something. He says, you go into a battle, findings are made based on those findings, okay, on reasons why you lost, as it were. Based on those findings, you are going to fine-tune your way forward. His suggestion is that, look, has anyone ever seen the Kosibuche report from the NDC? That's the question he asked. Has anybody ever read the Kosibuche report? The hall was quiet. He said, I suggest that we're able to keep the sanctity of what we have had.
Okay.
Pick what is good for us, prune it, handle it well as a party, and move on into the election so that it will not go into the public domain to spark needless debate. However, who is supposed to have it and implementation is supposed to be done, that one is at the level of the party. He made the suggestion. So this talk of he has not seen the report, of course, yes, he will not show interest. He himself said that, look, keep it as a secret. I am not an executive of the party.
So then why is Gabi
nonetheless, it doesn't also say.
My brother,
it doesn't also say.
It goes beyond Gabi's complaint.
Yes. No, it doesn't
It goes
say.
beyond Gabi's complaint.
Yes.
But what you have just said,
yes,
you're saying that the reform of the party has become the duty of a select and trusted few.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Well,
how is that democratic then?
How is that not democratic?
How is that democratic?
Have you seen the Kosibuche report before?
Is the national chairman and the general
but you
secretary.
see, when you say that, you create problems.
But they won the election.
I beg you.
Yes.
When you say that, what you're actually saying is that the NDC has become your model. Now you're copying the NDC.
They cannot be the model. But
Because
I'm just giving that as an example.
I beg you. Because NDC did not publish the Kosibuche report, it is all right to follow the NDC. That's what you're telling us.
No, I have
the
not
NDC is your model.
They can be.
I didn't know that.
But I'm just.
I'm happy to learn that. I didn't know that.
All right.
Anyway.
So good morning. Please ask my uncle Kabale Dean, how old is the 2024 elections? We voted on the 7th of December 2024. Ismaila Horeya Ali, Greater Accra Regional Zongo Caucus Coordinator for the NDC. Ismaila, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Now, Sam Akukeli, East Legon Hill, says, good morning, Moro. Anytime Uncle Kwesi practice on your program, I find it extremely difficult to contribute to the conversation. This is because he always takes the wind out of my sails. Our thinking patterns and analysis always get together. I enjoy his deep and rich analysis on matters of national interest a lot. It's my hope that duty bearers would endeavor to be listening to him and this country would be better off. Kudos to him. Now, there's somebody here who disagrees with Uncle Kwesi, and he does that quite strongly. He's called Eugene Eshon Elliott from East Legon. Now, he says that the land now known as Israel or Palestine has been referred to by various names throughout history. Here's a brief overview. And he talks about ancient times. The region was initially known as Canaan, where the kingdoms of Israel and Judah were located. The ancient Israelites, specifically the Hebrew tribes, established a kingdom they called Israel around 1030 BCE, which was later organized under King David and his son Solomon. He talks about the Roman era, after the Jewish-Roman wars in the first something century. He goes on and on and on and on. He talks about the modern era, that's before 1948. The region was primarily referred to as Palestine, a name that reflects the historical presence of both Jewish and Arab communities during the British mandate. So he gives a bit of a historical analysis, and he goes ahead to say, and it says, the region has also been known as the Levant, a crossroads. So the name Palestine has been used for centuries to refer to the geographic region while Israel was re-established. So Uncle Kesipra should not use his bias to miseducate the viewers. The land was originally that of Israel. I think that's where he's coming from. Yes.
Please, whoever this gentleman
is, Eugene,
whoever he is, I am saying that I've seen an interview of Golda Meir, former Prime Minister of Israel, making those statements. I was not making those statements myself. I was quoting the former Prime Minister of Israel, who said that she herself was Palestinian.
All right. So, Guy G,
what is this about?
I don't think he listened to you. Yes.
But
so, Guy G from Cantonment says, Moro, there are beloved MPP needs total overhaul. Selfish leaders will still want to be relevant after this shameful defeat. What kind of approach is this? This is very unpopular and unacceptable. How can these same executives that brought us the shame and pain be allowed to elect our next candidate? How? It is not MPP who did this to us. The youth of this party will resist this approach and will demonstrate against our current leadership. My regards to Uncle Kwesi Pratt. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. My name is Al Dumoro. Thanks for watching Good Morning Ghana. Bye-bye.
Launching. Emily Ministry present album launch. Join us on Saturday, 21st June 2025 as we celebrate the second launch of Emily at Daddy Boating. 4 p.m. sharp at Spring of Life Auditorium within Grace Mission Hospital behind Summer Lodge, Efian. Live on Metro TV and New Day TV, the current reigning gospel artist in the Western region. Come and support Emily as she share her gift with us. Special guest, Minister Naku.